Forward, Publisher's Note, and Chapters 1 through 5 of PEP, Poise, Efficiency, Peace. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by J.A. Carter. PEP, Poise, Efficiency, Peace, by Colonel William Crosby Hunter. PEP, Poise, Efficiency, Peace, a book of hows, not whys, for physical and mental efficiency, by Colonel William C. Hunter, author of Brass Tacks, Dollars and Cents, The Bill Books. Forward. Thought habit will become fixed on faith or fear, and the result to the man is good or bad accordingly. If your thought is fixed on faith, in the greater meaning you are invincible. If it is fixed on fear, or its elder child, worry, you stand helpless, weak, conquered, and miserable. If I can, by suggestion, logic, example, proof, reason, or humor, get your thought habit fixed on faith, and coach you to the understanding that will give you poise, efficiency, peace, then I will have done a thing well worth while. To that end, and with that purpose, I dedicate my services and this book to each of you who read it. William C. Hunter, June 10th, 1914. Publisher's Note. I believe in Colonel Hunter's book, PEP. For that matter, so does Mr. Britton. But I write this note because I made myself over by applying Colonel Hunter's rules for thinking and living to my daily life. In 1909, I was a sick man, suffering from nerves and food poisoning, auto-intoxication. I weighed less than 130 pounds, although 5 feet 9 inches tall. Every few weeks I would break down almost completely, and my physician would advise a long vacation, a trip to Europe or California or some other inexpensive little jaunt. Business and family cares prevented my being long away from the city, and I would pull through with tonics and willpower. One day, a friend persuaded me to consult his food specialist. I did so. Under his advice, I changed radically my diet. For 8 months, I ate no red meat and no white bread. I drank nothing whatever but water. Of water, I drank from 14 to 24 glasses every 24 hours. I made myself a member of the Don't Worry Club. I now weigh 155 pounds and am well in mind and body. I often work, if necessary, 12 or 14 hours at a stretch. I can eat and digest anything I please, but I do confine myself to about the diet Colonel Hunter recommends. I drink very little coffee or other stimulating beverages. I continue an exceedingly liberal use of water, but not with meals. Incidentally, I eat only about half as much as I used to, and I take no medicines. I'm not an author. Colonel Hunter is. Without my previous knowledge, he wrote PEP, which sets forth just the ideas of living and the manner of mind training in which I believe. So when he offered his manuscript to the Riley and Britton Company for publication, I was delighted. PEP will help you. If you are well, it will help you keep well and live long. If you are ill or worried, PEP will help you to get well and free you from fear thought. No medicines, no drugs, mind you. If you will apply the principles of thinking and living set forth in PEP, you will be happier, healthier, and more efficient. Again, I believe in PEP. Frank Kennicott Riley. Chapter 1. PEP means Poise, Efficiency, Peace. This message is one of joy, hope, health, optimism, and good cheer. The way to serene, happy, healthful, contented life is simple, sure, and practical, and I promise that the reading of this book will help you. Follow the suggestions, and this will mark a day of destiny in your life. I shall counsel you and not preach to you. I shall be reasonable and considerate and altogether practical, for I speak from experience, not hearsay. I've been through the mill. I've had to do with worry, blues, nervousness, fear, dread, and insomnia. I've been in the darkest recesses of Shadowland, and yet I've found the way to cinch up my mental and physical equipment and come into my natural heritage. Now the red blood courses through my veins, my eyes are bright, digestion good, joy is in my heart, and song is on my lips. I have an abundance of pep, which expressive little word stands for poise, pluck, peace, power, punch, patience, purpose, so far as P's are concerned. And pep likewise means efficiency, enthusiasm, endurance, example, and experience. Pep is the foe of worry and the friend of happiness. And the ways and means to get pep I am going to explain to you, so that you may have it too. We will spend a little while sizing up things together, so we may understand our problems and get acquainted with each other. When I have diagnosed conditions a bit, and you find I have hit the mark, then you will have confidence. To put you at ease and free you from apprehension, I will say that our travels together will be pleasant, buoyant, and optimistic. The rules, methods, and plans will be comfortable. You will not have to be a martyr or play at heroics. There will be no starving, no freak diet rules, no strange fads, and no strenuous duties. Pep is rational, simple common sense. Mental torture and strain offsets any physical gain when the methods employed are strenuous, heroic, or extreme. Most systems of mental and physical training are extreme, faddish, and theoretical, and they soon prove discouraging. We will deal with common sense, practical, rational methods which will be in marked contrast to the involved, technical, theoretical, irrational systems of which there are so many. We shall enjoy our travels and acquaintance with each other, and I am sure you will not feel that you are taking treatment or obeying onerous discipline. We shall work with smiles all around us, and shall not heave sighs or waste time making wishes. Confidence must be yours. I shall require faith on your part when we go beyond the horizon you are familiar with. If health and happiness were the estate of the majority, there would be no call for this book. But health is scarce and happiness most rare because of the demands and the conventions of business and social life. We are keyed up. We must slacken up a bit and lower the tension. Here's a mental picture for you. Time, never so valuable as now, coupled with ambition as a goad, is driving man to faster movement. Man is becoming a master mental dynamo, running at high voltage nerve pressure at terrific speed, accomplishing Herculean tasks, never stopping until nature, provoked by the presumption of her liberality and insulted by the demands made of her, says stop. And then the man who has neglected care of himself and has refused good counsel wakes up to the fact that he has spent his health getting wealth, and he thereafter spends his wealth getting, or trying to get back, his health. Today the world looks to the future with fear and uncertainty because civilization is becoming complex, requirements of man more grasping. The great multitude is wrestling with mammoth problems of labor, prohibition, taxes, cost of living, morality, white slavery, neurasthenia, worry, and the task of providing for a rainy day. On top of this, the selfish purpose of nearly every man is to build a monumental fortune. The cry is ever, on, on, on. The rhythm caused by the intoxication of man's mental carburetor pulsates the words, go, go, go. On life's great highway, we see the wreckage, and as the crowd presses forward, we watch the faltering ones dropping out of the race through sheer exhaustion. And so, I believe, a prophylactic against tired brains and bodies is timely, and this book will try to be that prophylactic. To help my brother to get back his pep, and to help my brother who has the pep to retain it, is the purpose of this book. To you who have thrown up the sponge, here is hope and promise that you can and will come back to your former strength of mind and body. And to you who are just commencing to feel groggy from the punches you have received, we call time, and will try to keep you in the game by a simple system of training your body and your mind. Yes, I've been through the mill, and I have tested plans, isms, cults, practices, philosophies, and after much elimination I have some rational rules and suggestions that will conserve the pep of those who have it, and bring back the pep to those who have lost it. I have a comb pile, mountain high, of theories which were thrown aside, and to save you time and investigation, I will give you the net result of the panning out, in the form of golden truth. This book is to deal in the hows, and not the whys. I take it you care to know how to get pep, rather than to know why you lost it. Chapter 2. Read about one chapter or so of this book each day. This is to establish sustained interest and fix the habit of right thinking, for right thinking is the great secret that will bring you great benefits. You are to receive the legacy of health and happiness, and I am co-administrator in the distribution of the legacy. There are 3 clauses or conditions as legatee which you must observe and agree to, before you can receive your estate. I am sure the magnitude of the benefits you are to receive will cause you to play the game fairly and in proper form. First, each night, after you have undressed and prepared to retire alone in your room, free from disturbance, sit down in an easy, comfortable chair. Relax your mind and body while in absolute silence for 5 or 10 minutes you prepare yourself to receive the suggestions. Remain until all is quiet, very, very quiet. Second, now, read 1 or 2 chapters of this book carefully, slowly, earnestly, and sincerely. Get the matter you are reading in your mind and nothing else. Fasten the suggestions and helpful thoughts on your brain as you lay your head on your pillow. Go to sleep with these thoughts burned in. Third, in the morning, finish your toilet, drink 2 or 3 glasses of warm, not hot water, then reread the chapter of the night before. After breakfast, go forth to your duties and problems of the day with faith that soon you are to have strength and willpower to brush aside the things which worry, fret, and distress you. In 1896 I wrote this motto: "Be pleasant every morning until 10 o'clock. The rest of the day will take care of itself." And it was this thought that set me thinking on the power of suggestion. This little motto of mine is on every book I write, and it has been copied in all parts of this great round world of ours. It is easy to remember, it is very helpful, and I want you to think it or say it to yourself every morning when you arise. I make this request very urgent, for the reward you will get from the practicing of the suggestion will be very great. Now then, you have the form in the manner of reading the chapters, and just as sure as you live you are going to gain each minute from now on, if you play the game on the square. I ask you to have faith now. Later on you will need no urging. With this faith you must have patience. You will upset the purpose, destroy the opportunity to get benefits, if you read all this book in 2 or 3 sittings. Faith, sincerity, patience, these are the 3 things to keep in your mind until we get well along the road. Then confidence and clearness of vision will come to you as you rise in strength and progress. Until that time, follow me, for I know the trail, and you must accept my ways and have confidence in my plans until we get through the wilderness and strike the main road, where the path is clear and you can go it alone. In other words, do not dispute or correct the guide when you are in a strange country. Maybe you really can cut a better trail or find a shorter road later on when you are familiar with the country. But as long as you are a tenderfoot in new territory, trust to the guide and follow him on the trail which he says leads to health, happiness, and pep. You have tried your own trails. You have hoped, wished for, and sought pep, but you didn't get it. Your trails were wrong. They came back to the starting point. You are after strength, peace, poise. You want pep. You wish to be emancipated and freed from the blue devils and holdbacks. You will have your wish if you follow with faith, sincerity, and patience. I know you may have tried to get courage and strength out of a pill box or medicine bottle. You may have taken drugs, dope, tonics, culture courses, and tried systems. You may have read heavy books on mental training. You may have tried many fads, fancies, and treatments. And because you didn't get pep, you may doubt these very promises you are now reading. The man who wrote, "If at first you don't succeed, try again," might have strengthened the suggestion by adding, "But don't try the same plan. Other plans have failed. Try pep." You will listen to cold reason, I am sure. Our plan has no apparatus, isms, freak beliefs, and no drugs. You can't lose. You may win. If you do not realize your object, it hasn't cost you anything. If you get what you are after, you will have been well repaid. There you are. You can't lose. You may win. Are you with us? This is not a literary effort or a technical book. It is far from classic. It is homely English that tells its message in sure language, if not beautiful language. But it is as sincere, as honest, as truthful as the most sacred honor and profoundest appreciation of responsibility can make it. I want to help my fellow men. There is no better purpose, no greater ambition I know of. Doing something for somebody is the quickest way I know to plant, raise, and harvest a crop of happiness. To help you is good, and to know that this help you get will cause you to help others is much better. You see, there are ambitions higher than crowns and rewards greater than dollars. Every man or woman who reads this book and receives help from the reading is raising the world's average just so much, and to be a factor in such an uplift is reward plus. Now that we understand each other, let us square away and go to it. Chapter 3. As I will explain particularly later on, the willpower controls the mind masters the nerves boss the muscles drive the organs, and the whole human machine goes along merrily as nature intended it to. But when the clouds keep the sunshine out of the thinking department, and when the physical habits hamper the digestion or the functions of any of the organs, then we have congestion. And the good old doctors tell us that sickness or disease is the result of congestion. So it is that congestion of the mind, like sand in the gearbox, prevents the smooth rhythm of nature's forces, and we suffer from results caused by improper working of our God-given powers, mental and physical. It's a science worthwhile that tells us how to think, how to act, and how to live, so that we shall have happiness, strength, and efficiency. The big books in the library deal on the science of life and living, of thought and thinking. They emphasize the word efficiency. But our little everyday standby word, PEP, seems to carry a meaning that better answers my purpose. PEP, I want you to understand, is efficiency plus peace and poise. Science takes certain truths as a basis, and with a delicate probe of theory searches the unknown. Finally, experience and truth and results touched by theory prove the hypothesis to be true or false. If man had always kept within the realm of the known, the story of the stars, the present perfection in fruit-raising, and the great inventions of today would be unknown. Theory paves the way to truth. It is a fine adjunct to experiment. But so much truth has been found in the study of mind and body efficiency, and life is so short, that we in this book will content ourselves with applying the truth for our own benefit. We will leave the theories to our highbrow brothers in the psychological laboratories of the great colleges, where, with an atmosphere of great dignity, and with silver whiskers to add to that dignity, these great men may theorize and write for the masters, exploiting their theories and spreading hypotheses. And all speed to them. While they talk to the masters about theory, we will talk to the masses about truth. So we each have our place, and each have our field. We are after the whip-handle end of things, that we may control our acts, thoughts, destinies, and be masters instead of slaves. We are acute in our unrest and worries. The original man-animal had no worry, for he had no thinking brains. Civilization and convention have brought about an almost universal tendency to worry, and some new system of training, some new operations of commerce, some new ideals of life will have to be established. Worry weakens willpower, saps nerve power, unsteadies thought power, dissipates concentration, and causes a man to lose his pep. We are going to have many experiences with worry, and we are going to follow rules, suggestions, and methods which will give us grit and grip, which, you see, is still another way to spell pep. Whether the mind or body suffers first, both finally suffer when worry is present, because there is an inseparable affinity between mind and body. Disease is the effect of a cause. Remove the cause, and the effect disappears. The cause of most diseases is traced to wrong thought or imagination. We will try to get at some of these causes with simple bread-and-butter truths, rather than with a lot of technical scientific frosted cake. Without many whys, we will get busy with worry and recognize it as a great enemy which we shall not be able to kill. This Goliath cannot be laid low with a pebble, like that David of old shot from his sling, but we can tie him down and place him where he can't hurt us. Worry isn't a real thing. It's an imaginary demon, which looks real if we are scared. Worry is an ogre, appalling influence. Worry is the disease of the age. Worry is a dragon, a stink-pot, a false face that scares people who are weak. Courage, faith, and pep are the armor, shield, and sword that makes the strong man invincible to this great make-believe, born in darkness and existing in imagination. Gird on your armour then, stand forth, and say, I am not afraid. Even as you take this step, worry starts to back into its cave of darkness. Chapter 4. We will wrestle with problems one by one as we travel along together. We will not classify the subjects or try to make a system or establish a science or cult. In this book we take things as they come, and that's a pretty good plan to adopt in your business and home affairs. It will help you get along much faster. I have written these chapters in the midst of a busy life, and in a sort of catch-as-can manner, jotting a few lines down today and some more tomorrow. The one trouble that faces us most is the worry problem, for it is apparent to so many of the petty troubles. Worry is peculiar to the human animal, because the human animal is the only animal which thinks, and the human being gets his thoughts twisted, misplaced, and clouded until he thinks worry is real, when in truth worry is only imagination. Our thoughts are like the tides of the sea, which ebb and flow in never-stopping rhythm. Our thoughts rise on a high tide of buoyancy and joy, to be followed by the reflex action or low tide, and to keep your poise during the low tide is a manner of fine strategy. Worry is the negative or opposite to the positive peace. If we are sensitive to worry, it will harm us. If we are sensible about worry, it cannot harm us. The best way to be effectually sensible about worry is to learn to make ourselves insensible to it. You cannot kill worry by blows or fighting it directly. You cannot rid yourself of worry by simply saying, I will not worry. The weapons to fight worry with are substitution, strategy, and elimination. Worry is eliminated by substitution of confidence thought. We can only think one thing at a time, and if we think faith or courage or joy or peace, we cannot think worry thoughts at the same time. Remember this point well. I say you cannot think two things at the same time, but later on I will show you how you can do several things at the same time. There is much difference between thinking and doing. Chapter 5. In their extremity, many persons who are unsuccessful in establishing better thought by willpower resort to drugs, little realizing what harm they are doing themselves. Morphine doesn't cure pain, it simply deadens sensibility to pain for the time being. Strychnia and other deadly poisons in diluted pill or tablet form will quicken the pulse and give a feeling of exhilaration or buoyancy for the time being, but at terrific cost to your physical body. Dope deadens the nerves to pain or intoxicates the imagination, causing the mind to paint false pictures. Every grain of poison you take lessens your resistance. Shun drugs, pills, or tonics. No good can come of them. Drugs cannot better your mind or physical condition. Nature has tonics which you will learn of later, but bear in mind neither drugs nor words can cure you of any trouble that comes from inefficient mind control, lack of power to think, or weakness of will. The cure must be made by your own self, through your own mind, and by your own willpower. I am simply the purveyor of truth, the assistant, the counsel, the preceptor. The fact is that the responsibility is upon you. I will help you to reason, will try to convince and show you the way, but you must accept, follow, and practice. The base on which we rest our argument is that no two objects can occupy the same space at the same time. When worry occupies our thoughts, all good thought is shut out. When happiness is in possession, worry is out. Worry and fear thought will keep you at high pressure and cause you to go to extremes in mental activity. With faith thought, confidence, and poise in possession of your thinking apparatus, you can slow down and conserve your energies. Excitement or stress of emergency runs up your nerve voltage, and at such times you must pull yourself together and establish calmness and poise and slow down your governor. Regularity in your habits, avoidance of extremes, must be your rule, and this will bring you to a sereneness and an ability clearly, rationally, and sensibly to solve problems and overcome obstacles. So long as you live, you will face problems. It is the nature of things and the purpose of the great plan to bring out strong individuals. With poise and calmness, you can successfully combat all the problems which confront you. For nature has given every man the equipment to assume the responsibilities he faces in life. In your relation to the things of this world, all your problems divide themselves into two classes, one consisting of the things you can control, the other the things you cannot control. Obviously, it is footless to worry over the things you cannot control. and time so spent is worse than wasted. The things you can control may look to be beyond your power at present, but as you go along with us, you will gradually find yourselves measuring up to greater ability and power, and obstacles will diminish in size as your strength increases. So, go to bed tonight with the firmly fixed thought that worry is a mental condition, that it is unreal, and cannot hurt you if you are unafraid. Worry may make horrible pictures in your dreams. Your problems will be distorted and magnified, but just keep a stiff backbone and a stiff jawbone and say, I am unafraid. Do this, and even tonight you will sleep better, and surely tomorrow you will have more confidence. End of foreword, publisher's note, and chapters 1 through 5. Recording by J.A. Carter. www.plionic.com. Chapters 6 through 10 of PEP, Poise, Efficiency, Peace, by Colonel William Crosby Hunter. Recording by J.A. Carter. Chapter 6. Here are many things in concrete form, the details and the hows of which we will consider later on. Absorb as many of the suggestions as you can right now, and you will gain rapidly in your stock of PEP. Be calm and serene. Drink more water, more buttermilk, less coffee and tea. Take more rest, sleep more, eat less. Eat more cereals, more dry toast, and less red meat. Chew your food thoroughly, eat slowly, avoid fancy foods, condiments, and highly seasoned desserts. Slow down your speed. Spend more time out of doors. Sleep with your windows wide open, winter or summer. Relax. Think faith and uplift thought. This is a pretty big bunch of rules. Follow as many of them as you possibly can. Accept the suggestions because of your faith in the guide, and upon my promise that proof of the efficacy of these suggestions will be abundant as you progress. As we shall soon clearly see, nothing comes out of our brain in thought that was not first planted in our brain. We are in mind and body what we feed upon mentally and materially. You must eliminate, so far as you possibly can, all fear and worry thought, and feed your brain on faith and joy thought. If you keep feeding on pleasant, dominant, courageous, helpful, upbuilding thought, this mental food will be digested and you will realize great benefits. Patience here again is the word, for you may not notice instant gain in your mental strength any more than you recognize quick results in physical strength following a substantial meal. Think good, see good, hear good, mix with good, and have patience. You cannot cut down a tree with one stroke of an axe. Figuratively, we have locked arms, clasped hands, looked into each other's eyes, felt each other's hearts, and given each other our confidence. I want you to feel that these thoughts are personal, human, and not mere printed words. I want you to feel there is a joyous, helpful camaraderie between us as we go along, finding sunshine and health and spreading joy into Shadowland. We are helping ourselves, and we are helping others who need us. Truth and evidence shall be our basis, and we must be wide awake, alert, and receptive. We will forget how often we fell asleep over those heavy old scientific books, written by thin-blooded men who have never been in the fray, men who have never felt as you and I have felt. Those men write theory. We are practicing truth. The housewife doesn't care for tables and tests, information about yeast ferments, heat units, bacilli culture. She wants to know how much flour, water, salt, yeast, heat, and time to use, and in what proportion, so that she may bake bread. You do not care for a glossary of words or an array of scientific terms, or pictures of neurons, ganglia, nerve centers, etc., etc., ad nauseum. We will have to do with the practical ways by which you may substitute sereneness for worry, smiles for frowns, joys for sorrows, health for illness, strength for weakness, courage for fear, hope for despair, love for hate, kindness for cruelty, gentleness for roughness, friendship for enmity, charity for selfishness. Chapter 7. We are planting seeds and learning about the weeds which kill the flowers, so that we may destroy the weeds. Henceforth, when opportunity offers, and when you can make opportunity, think about the flowers and the beauty and the good things of life. It will be harder to point your compass aright and steer true to this course now than it will be later. I could have given you the definite rules to follow on 1 or 2 pages of this book, and very little good would have come to you. The parent could tell the child the 10 Commandments and the Golden Rule, and within those 11 rules and suggestions practically the great guides to morals and living could be found. The teacher could give the basic rules of arithmetic, reading and writing, and the pupil would have the basis for a life's work. But good, so far as it has to do with the shaping of our lives, our morals, or our educations, must be brought out by sustained and continued application and attention. Don't you see, then, why it is better for you and me to travel slowly along, rather than to have me tell you the story in a few words? Can't you see how it will benefit you if you keep this book ever near you after you have finished it in the form laid out? By reading a chapter or so every day in the manner suggested, you are going to fasten habit until it is firmly fixed, and your good thought will work automatically. Again, I ask patience, for clouds will come to you, despair will creep in, but each day, if patience and persistence is your rule, you are weakening the enemies to your sereneness. The shipbuilding yard looks like a gigantic jackstraw puzzle. We cannot appreciate how order is to come out of such chaos. Lots of time and patience have been expended in preparing the plates, bars, bolts, and rods. Some day the mastermind who laid out these plans will issue the orders, and these thousands of pieces will be carried to the stocks, each finding its place, and a great ship will appear. There was a lot of preparation, a lot of patience necessary. So, with your task, patience and sincerity in the study of the parts, plans, and conditions are necessary, and when assembly time comes, you will surely realize great benefits. Chapter 8. The food you have been receiving is easily digestible. I have tried to be serious and hold your interest, and if you have followed closely, I am sure that as you have been reading these lines, worry and unrest were absent. We are getting acquainted and understanding each other. You are taking the easier steps in preparatory work now, and each day there will be new pleasures, new hopes, and new strength for you. I am sure the sunshine is breaking through the clouds. You are getting strength, and I now pull aside the curtain a bit and let you take a peep at the enemy and point out the problems we are to tackle. We shall not rush on the enemy like a cavalry charge, but we will pick them off, one by one, with strategy, punch, and strength. We will wallop them with substitution until the enemy's campground is overgrown with flowers where the weeds were thick, and the fort of the enemy, where with flying colours and seeming impregnable security the enemy held forth, shall be turned into a cemetery of the vanquished horde. Behold then, before our fight, camping yonder under the ever-alert general, worry, the enemy. Blues, nervousness, melancholy, nervous prostration, short breath, forgetfulness, sensitiveness, nightmare, blurred eyesight, lost confidence, uncertainty, fear, neuritis, hysteria, rapid pulse, dizziness, lonesomeness, nervous dyspepsia, indigestion, listlessness, dread, neurasthenia, despondency, hardened arteries, trembling, crying spells, lost ambition, loss of weight, timidity, and others. I have not mentioned many physical diseases that are aggravated by worry and nerve weakness. Practically every ill the body suffers, if not directly caused by worry, is certainly aggravated by worry or lack of mind control. The one thing to relieve the conditions caused by worry is to substitute right thinking and establish the ability to keep up right thought. You must get in helpful thoughts and shut out hurtful thoughts. Helpful thoughts bring strength. Hurtful thoughts cause weakness and hypochondria, and this condition is the forerunner to the ogres we have just been looking at. Set your energy to work on making and keeping the resolve that you are going to put your willpower in command of your nerves, which are the telegraph lines of the body. From now on, you must recognize that mind is to master your body, and that your willpower is to direct the mind. Your resolve will make you stronger in your purpose, and each day you will find your vision clearer and your power to concentrate your thoughts easier. Think courage. Repeat the words, "Nothing can harm me as long as I am unafraid." It has taken years, perhaps, of steady pull at your nerves to bring you into a state of weakened power mentally and physically. If you have lost your confidence, combativeness, and pep, it has been a slow process, and you cannot expect by mere resolve to reinstate your former strength and normal condition on the instant. You will require patience, and lots of it, but you can well afford to be patient, for you are now on the upward turn and gaining in strength every day. Your patience will yield you wonderful dividends. Of course, if you have been taking drugs, dope, tonics, or bracers, you will quit them instantly. They are only temporary boosters, and the reflex after the drug effect always leaves you worse than ever. Drugs and dope push you downward. Faith and hope lift you upward. There are 24 hours in a day, and 1440 minutes. If you can master yourself by right thinking for 5 minutes today, tomorrow you can be master for 6 or 7 minutes, and each day you can increase the length of the period of your mastery. There never would be any photographs unless there were shadows and lights. We need reverses in our lives to make us appreciate our blessings. In times of prosperity, we have a large circle of individuals who pose as friends and are extravagant with their offers of friendship, until when necessity, through reverses, causes us to try to cash in this friendship, we find the friends scattered like a bunch of sheep with a hungry coyote in their midst. Your need should be your inventory time, for then you can make a little memorandum book of who is who when you need a friend. Do not presume upon friends to help you. They serve their purpose temporarily to bridge you over difficulties. Friends can help you by their good cheer and counsel, by their help and suggestions, but the real help is within you, and to get pep it is necessary that you make the fight alone. I am acting as a friendly architect, drawing plans for you who are to do the building. Having furnished the specifications and drawings, my principal part of the work is ended, and the responsibility for the structure is up to you. I shall come around often and watch your progress, and I shall be with you in thought and good wishes, and with words of cheer which will help you to sing as you work. Chapter 9. You must overcome obstacles singly, and not look upon them en masse, as you will be discouraged if you do. Take one thing at a time, dispose of it, tackle the next thing, and so on. Success comes slowly. It creeps. Your hunger for success makes you wish that progress would come jumping along like a kangaroo. From my ranch house in Frozen Dog, Idaho, I see the frowning range of the Seven Devils Mountains. It looks as though it would be impossible to get over that range, but I have been over it. I hit the trail, walked step by step around bends, over rocks, resting once in a while to refresh myself and replenish my energy. As I looked back from the resting place, the very ground over which I had passed looked as forbidding as the hills ahead of me. But the fact that I had gone so far gave me confidence that I could go further. And I did. Your problems are like those hills. Keep on your way, rise slowly, surely, and go forward, no matter how slowly you go, just so you are moving in the right direction. Let a song be on your lips and happiness in your heart, and the journey will be easier. The troubles you have had in the past are greater than any troubles you will have in the future. The things you expected to floor you in the past did not happen. You may be hemmed in now, and the walls around you may look impassable, but keep your head up and keep climbing. Your loved ones are watching your progress. Their warm hearts respond to your joy and sympathize with you, and if you give them hand clasps of cheer and words of courage, you will help them, and more certainly help yourself. If you cannot be sincere in speaking or acting courage and cheer, act these things anyway. Your happiness may be forced, your smile may be make-believe, your example may be posing. Be it so. Keep on the acting. It will help those you love, and finally, sincerity will mix with your insincerity, and the good impulses will be real and natural. The old man said, "Most of my worries have been about things which never happened." Your worries are mostly about anticipated horrors or conditions you expect to find in the future. But your anticipation will not be realized. Those troubles will not occur. You always came out right in the past, some way, somehow. You managed to get through and came out on top. Patrick Henry said, "I know of no way to judge the future but by the past." Just apply that rule in your own case. Faith is your rose. Worry is the thistle. Both are fighting for room. Worry wishes to kill faith. Faith struggles so hard to live. Water the faith rose. Care for it. keep the thistle down. With faith established, peace, joy, and cheer will come to you. Stand by the rose of faith, watch out for it, keep the thistle down, and watch out for new thistle seeds. They grow quickly. Chapter 10. The printer must know about type, paper, and ink. The carpenter must know about the hammer, saw, and plane. The preacher must know his Bible, prayer books, and hymns. So, in order to get the good out of you, you must know about the things which are in you and the tools you have to work with. The principal tool is the brain. The brain is the thought factory and the dynamo which gives impulse to the nerves. The nerves are the overseers or taskmasters of the muscles. It would take a whole library alone to tell in detail about the brain, to show proofs and diagrams necessary to give the ordinary layman a complete understanding of the brain. But I am not to be technical, and you have agreed to have faith and believe the things I tell you, and really it doesn't matter very much whether I tell you the full truth or not, so long as you get the results you are after. Plant corn in May, cultivate the ground carefully, and in the fall each kernel will produce hundreds of kernels. That is truth, and it is not necessary to go into scientific terms or give botanical explanation of the process of growing. It is sufficient to know that by doing what you are told, the result you are after is sure to follow. In other words, when I tell you about planting the corn and cultivating the ground, and promise that you will reap a crop, I am talking from experience, and promising you the results because I know that the formula and the suggestion given you will produce definite results. If you are too insistent, you can go to the library or consult the best doctor or the best scholar you know, and find that the things I say are true. I haven't time to take side roads or quote authorities, so just dismiss your doubt and bear patiently as we go along. Have confidence in this book until you have finished it, and see how the thing comes out. The brain is the thought factory, or better still, it is the business office of the body. The brain is likewise a battery, a key, a carburetor, an engine, a dynamo, a chart room. The nerves running out of the business office are the telegraph wires carrying the vital spark from the business office. Some of these nerves work automatically, and some of them get busy only when we order them to work. Part of the brain controls the nerves which work the heart, the digestion, the circulation, and the breathing. These nerves work right along without wasting any nerve energy, and without requiring any mental effort. You cannot stop the working of the heart or the digestion by any mental effort. You can suspend certain automatic nerve action temporarily, such as stopping the eye-winking muscles or the breathing muscles. You cannot, by any mental effort, refrain from seeing things when your eyes are open. You cannot stop feeling, smelling, tasting, or hearing by mental effort. A continuation of the brain runs down the hollow of the backbone and is known as the spinal cord. It is a sort of assistant brain, or magneto. It relieves the main office of much of the most important work and takes care of a great deal of the common work. For instance, when you desire to walk, the brain sets certain muscles to work through the nerves. The impetus is given, and the start is made by definite action of the brain. After you have made the start, the brain switches the job to the spinal cord, and the spinal cord keeps the walking muscles working until you wish to stop. So then, in the operation of walking, the brain is used at the start and at the finish. The spinal cord takes care of the nerve action necessary between the time of starting and the time of stopping. This is a wonderful provision of nature, for it saves the using of the brain force for the common work of the body. I can illustrate this very nicely by comparing your brain and spinal cord to the dry cell battery and the magneto in an automobile, and comparing you, the human machine, with the automobile. You start an automobile with a dry cell battery, and when the engine is running smoothly, you switch the current to the magneto. The magneto furnishes the spark without loss and keeps the engine running without using up any of the original dry cell current. If your automobile ran all the while on the battery would soon lose its voltage and finally peter out altogether. So with the human machine. If you had to think and use your brain for every step you took, for every breath or every movement, you would soon wear out your brain. It is because many of you use the brain for much unimportant work that there is so much nerve exhaustion. End of chapters 6 through 10. Recording by J.A. Carter, www.pleonic.com. Chapters 11 through 15 of PEP, Poise, Efficiency, Peace, by Colonel William Crosby Hunter. Recording by J.A. Carter. Chapter 11. There are many things the spinal cord, or magneto, is used for without having to call on the brain, or dry cell battery. For instance, when you close your eye, cough, sneeze, vomit, or jump away from heat or pain, or hits, or shocks, or noise. The more you use the dry cell battery, the sooner you exhaust its voltage. You must recharge the battery with sleep, rest, and by the elimination of conscious effort upon everything you do. Just as the nerve action goes on without stopping in the matter of controlling heartbeats, so a certain something goes on without stopping in the matter of controlling thought. From your first moment of consciousness, your brain has been in constant activity in generating thought, or causing mental pictures or ideas to follow one another continuously without a moment's stopping. Even when you're asleep, the thought action runs along just the same, although the remembrance or the impression of the thought may have vanished. So, as it is impossible to stop thought, we must consider the scientific way of directing that thought. The brain, on the one hand, is a generator of thought, and on the other, it is an organ of thought. And if we keep in mind the brain as an organ of thought, just as the stomach is the organ of digestion, we shall be able to find many practical ways to use the organ as subservient to our will. You can make your brain, as an organ, cause you to walk, talk, see, hear, eat, smell, feel, all at the same time. But you cannot make your brain think two things at once, any more than you can speak two words at once. I want to repeat, you can do many things at once, but you can think but one thing at a time. When your mind is occupied with fear thoughts, you cannot think faith thoughts. One or the other must dominate. While you have been reading this chapter, you have not worried because your mind was not on yourself, but upon what I hope has been helpful, inspiring, uplifting, and interesting thought. Your brain will do wonderful things for you if you look upon it as an organ or servant of your thought. It will respond to your willpower, and your willpower must be directed toward cultivating a natural habitual ability to keep peace thought in the chair as much as possible. I must repeat this suggestion and emphasize again the importance of it. You are after poise, efficiency, and peace. Note that the first letter of each of these words spells PEP. And the way to get this good is the substitution of the good thought and the elimination of the fear thought. The world is to you just as you are to the world. Think good, act good, be good, and crowd out the bad. The more you feed your brain on good, the surer you are to get good thoughts out of it. Chapter 12. We don't know what life is. The secret has not been told. We don't know just what the soul is, or its relation to the brain. But we know there are many ties of relationship between life and soul and mind. We do not know what space is, or just what the stars are, nor can we tell just how plants grow. But we know many truths about space and stars and plants. We haven't the full knowledge of electricity yet, but the knowledge we have of electricity is mighty useful to us. Every day we are learning new truths and applying them to our benefit. When the first telegraph message was sent, it was a world marvel that Morse could send intelligence over a wire. He sent a single message. It was a reverent message, and a high tribute to the faith of the inventor of the telegraph. The message was, "What hath God wrought?" Now, we have improved on the telegraph. The average person doesn't know, perhaps, that we have a multiplex instrument that will send several messages over the same wire at the same time. And not only this, some of these messages may be sent one way and some another simultaneously. Think of that. 2 messages going east and 2 going west at the same time on the same wire without getting mixed. The brain uses the nerves very much like the multiplex instrument, as we have shown in the previous chapter, because it will make us do a great many things at the same time. But when it comes to thought, there can be but one thought at a time. To be strong mentally and to have good thoughts, you must be active mentally and train your thoughts on strength, courage. If you slow down or let your mind wander in side paths or on trivial things, it will get you back to worry and fear and dread and self-condemnation. Your mind is like a young colt. It rebels at first at any semblance of training, But later on, if you keep the reins well in your hand, you can guide the mind into the habit of right thinking. Mind is the master, and it controls your body, and you will feel happy or you will have worry in proportion as the mind is working through right or wrong impulse. Mind is master. It can and will drive away blues, worry, and the attendant ailments which come from fear thought and mind lethargy and mind abuse. Mind is master, and it can and will drive away ills and despair which come from wrong thinking and wrong physical acts. What profitable study is this which shows us how to throw sunshine into shadowland, to brighten and cheer and attain courage and hope? You are going to be happy, this I promise you. You're going to get rid of worry and to learn that you can master yourself. You're going to be constant in your determination to put good things in your brain to supplant the bad thought that is trying to fasten itself upon you. These things you are going to do, and I hope you are doing some of them now. When you get blue, switch the current of your thought to faith thought. Go to a cheerful friend, talk of blessings instead of hard luck, make your mind travel in another path. Fear no evil. Worry is not real. Nothing can harm you but bad thoughts, so don't let the bad thoughts in. Every time you make this resolve, every time you read this suggestion which I am repeating so often, will you get added help and strength. Chapter 13. We are built up in mind and body from the nourishing mental and physical food we take in. The stomach does not make food, but digests food. The heart does not make blood, but it pumps blood around our bodies. The eyes do not make pictures. They merely photograph or reflect lights and shadows coming into the eye, and impress these things upon the nerves, which carry impressions to the brain. The brain does not make thought, but it digests and analyzes impressions and coordinates ideas. The brain is the storage battery, the digester, the telegraph key, the record keeper, the filing cabinet, the index of thoughts, ideas, impressions, and sensibilities. In the infant, the brain is a clean white page, and everything that will ever come out of that child's brain must first come into it and make the impression. From childhood, impressions, ideas, and intelligences are constantly arriving, and they are permanently established in the brain, where, in company with other thoughts, they germinate or hatch out new ideas. That is, we think the ideas are new, but the ideas have come into our mind in one form, and like chemical change which makes an apparently new substance, so thoughts changed in the mental laboratory make apparently new ideas. You cannot shoot a gun until you load it. What you put in the gun is a few grains of black powder and a fulminating cap. When you press the trigger, you hear a noise, see fire and smoke, and perhaps can feel the heat. What comes out of the gun has no semblance to what went in it, but that which came out was simply a changed form of that which went in. The thing we consider a new idea is merely a changed shape of a former idea which we put into the brain, and coming out now into our intelligence and understanding in a new form. Through our senses of seeing, feeling, hearing, etc., we are constantly receiving impressions which are carried to our brain, where they associate, intertwine, and amalgamate to come out ofttimes seemingly as new-born ideas from our brain. In concrete, I want you to remember particularly this. Nothing comes out of the brain but what went in first. You cannot draw out good thoughts if you feed your brain on bad thoughts. Your brain is a garden in which there are roses and weeds struggling for possession. If you let the roses get the worst of it, the weeds will quickly thrive. You must put in good thoughts and nourish those good thoughts, and be vigilant in eliminating the bad thoughts from your mental garden. Whenever a bad thought comes, or when worry surrounds you, set your willpower at work, and if necessary, force yourself to think helpful thoughts. Say, I am not afraid. I shall not worry, because worry is unreal, a make-believe. I shall not even think of the word worry. You are free. You have your place in the world. You are master of your thoughts. Your will serve you. You must fear no evil. The weeds will die if you keep all your attention on nourishing the flowers. Since you have been travelling with me in this book, and have had alternate periods of buoyancy and reflexes of blues, you must not take this as discouragement. Every day you think and act and follow the suggestions in this book, you are putting happiness checks in your reserve bank. I do not want to touch the heartstrings, or write weepy lines or quivering words to show my sympathy, for my message is cheer, joy, and smiles. I have these blessings, and I have promised that you shall have them too. When the atmosphere gets blue and you feel miserable, don't give way to your feelings, but get out your mental brush and dip it in the paint pot of courage, and with the rosy paint blot out the blue spots. You're all right. Cheer up. The very fact that you are alive is a great thing. I know of a woman who had 6 children. She had rheumatism and St. Vitus dance at the same time. She had no money, no friends, but somehow or other she had pep and grit, and she came out all right, and I understand occasionally she has pie for breakfast, so I guess you needn't worry. You will never improve your game of billiards if you play with inferiors. You will never improve your optimism if you chastise yourself by comparing your weak points with the strong points of others. Instead of suffering by being envious of others who have more material things than you have, you should get satisfaction and comfort in looking at the greater miseries and sorrows of others less fortunate than you, and that will help you toward contentment. Chapter 14. I hope you are keeping faith and sincerely trying to hold your thoughts in proper channels. This chapter is a chapter of promise, good cheer, and concrete suggestion. Have you spoken a kind word today? Have you done a kind deed, or performed an act worthwhile? I'm going to put down your answer as yes, and then say, aren't you happy because of your acts? While you were thinking of others, it took your mind off yourself. You know that your troubles are largely due to the fact that you have given yourself too much importance, and used too much of your thought for your own selfish purpose. In proportion as you cultivate the ability to drop this selfishness in the matter of thought, you will be able to free yourself from the tangles of worry. You must think of others, you must consider them, you must do things for them, you must get yourself out of yourself, or you will be narrow, uncharitable, envious, and miserable. And the longer these conditions exist, the harder it will be to change your make-up. Think of your blessings, of the needs of others, of the opportunities to help them, and cut out envy. Slow down. Cultivate calmness. Do not push. Haste makes double work. Eliminate unnecessary moves. Avoid excitement, so that your heart will work normally. I promise you great happiness and joy if you will follow these suggestions and do the things not simply from duty, but with enthusiasm, vim, and energy. As you go along, each day will be clearer. The clouds will pass as you grasp the sunshine truth. The ugly mental pictures will be replaced with pictures beautiful to look upon. Every day worry will be lessened, joy increased. I promise you happiness in your heart, song on your lips, smiles on your countenance, and an ecstasy for the very life privilege which perhaps you formerly thought was not worth the while. Is life worth living? Asks the pessimist. Well, I guess it is. It is grand. It is here for your enjoyment. The plan of things is right, the world is getting better, and you are going to help in the uplift. We must have some clouds and sorrows, even as a dog has fleas. Clouds are here for a purpose. A little darky was sitting on a curb, hitting his head with a stick. Asked why he did such a thing, he replied, "It feels so good when I stop." I understand those who live in the land of perpetual sunshine and uniform temperature get mighty tired of sameness. So, when the little annoyances come, consider them as trifles, and know that they come to you simply to accentuate the joys and pleasures you have. Here are a few capsules of optimism essence. Repeat these thoughts. Nothing can harm me but my thoughts, and I have control of my thoughts. I am going to look up, not down. I am here for a purpose. That purpose is to make the very best of conditions that exist. Sometimes I did not look at things rightly, but the world is right. I am to enjoy the blessing of life, and I am to help others to enjoy life too. Tomorrow morning, I am going to promise myself that I will be pleasant until 10 o'clock anyway. Chapter 15. I make a guess that today averaged better with you than yesterday, because I feel sure each day is one of progress, and that you are gaining in the control of your willpower and in the betterment of your thought. With this confidence and belief, we will get down to our little study again, and see some more interesting things about the powers and uses of the brain under control of the mind, remembering that the purpose of spending so much time on the brain is to establish the fundamental truth which I am trying to weave all through this book, that mind is the master of matter. As you are in thought, so is the world to you. Your whole circle of friends, your home, and everything with which you come in contact changes aspect with every change in your mood or view. If the weather be dark and gloomy, You will not feel as joyful or optimistic as you do when the sunshine comes. The mind is the keynote to your feelings, and controls your functions and your organs and your general health. You are what you think you are, and I shall show by illustration how true this is. You may be sitting at the table ready to eat, and your appetite is very keen. Let someone tell you bad news, or bring you a telegram announcing the illness or death of a dear one, and your appetite instantly vanishes. Let someone tell a disgusting story, or speak of disagreeable things, and your appetite flies away. You have often noticed how you turn away from your meal if someone near you clears his throat, or coughs, or blows his nose, or makes queer noises in eating. I do not like to speak of these things, but they illustrate so clearly how positively the nerves are under control of the mind, and will affect your senses, your appetite, and your enjoyment. Mind is the master, and you know it. The question, therefore, before you is how to cultivate the mind, so that it will measure up to its proper function in dominating worry, troubles, or ailments which bother you. There are some very helpful lessons or truths ahead for you, some of them pleasant, and some of them bitter pills for you to swallow. Do not be impatient. Impatience is one of the things which made you worry. We are going along comfortably, slowly, and surely, to make you patient. When you are impatient, you see things in a false light. You magnify trifles, you dignify non-essentials, and you befog the beauty around you. You remember as a child or youngster what horrible nightmares, bad dreams, and sleepless nights you passed, following evenings spent in telling ghost stories, relating murder or robber tales. You recall how the rustle of the branches against your house, or the whistling wind or creaking hinge, suggested burglars, spooks, or other terrors to you. Your mind was feeding on fear thought instead of faith thought. You remember in the morning, when the sun shone brightly and you went into the open air, how differently things looked, and how much better you felt, for the horrible nightmare had passed away. There is an old illustration which shows how fear thought affects the mind and body. It is this. Have a few friends, by agreement, posted that they will all tell a certain one on a certain day is looking bad. We will call the subject George. George goes out in the morning in perfect health and in high spirits. He meets A, who says, "How pale you look, George." Then comes B, who says, "Are you ill?" And so on. The other actors in the play follow one after another, each one telling George he does not look well or asking him if he's ill. By the time 5 or 6 have made the suggestion of illness, George is really sick. As a matter of fact, he is sick because he thinks he is. And he thinks he is because the sick thought has been suggested to him so much that he believes it. A certain attorney purchased a new hat. One of his friends telephoned to other friends that whenever they met the attorney they should ridicule his hat. The lawyer started down the street with his head up, with consciousness and comfortableness and the feeling that he was strictly in style and had a becoming hat, until he met a friend, A, who said, "Where in the world did you get that hat?" Later on came B, who said, "What's the matter? Have you traded hats with someone?" In turn came C, who said, "You've certainly chosen an ill-looking hat." And so one after another spoke to the attorney about his hat, until he went back to his office, threw his hat in the wastebasket, never to wear it again. As a matter of fact, the hat cost $5. It was a good hat, and was becoming. But the constant suggestion of friends so worked on the mind of the lawyer that he was convinced his hat was attracting attention and did not look right. The foregoing illustration is not made to order. It is an actual occurrence which came within my observation. By brooding or thinking fear thoughts, you can work yourself into a bad state and really feel that ailments and ills are real, tangible things so far as you are concerned. Mind is the master, and your insurance against pullbacks is to see to it that the mind does master. If constant suggestion for evil makes you think evil, so constant suggestion for good makes you think good. Did you do a kind act today? Have you driven another peg in your ability to make your mind do what your will wants it to? Are you feeling more strength and confidence as these suggestions are made to you? End of chapters 11 through 15. Recording by J.A. Carter, www.pleonic.com. Chapters 16 through 20 of PEP, Poise, Efficiency, Peace, by Colonel William Crosby Hunter. Recording by J.A. Carter. Chapter 16. For ages, the study of the mind and its control over matter has occupied the attention of the world's greatest thinkers and philosophers. Today there is a popular wave sweeping the country under the name of New Thought. The words New Thought seem to suggest that there is a modern discovery of truth, when, as a matter of fact, all the great truths that are being told by this so-called New Thought are simply old truths worked over again. This applies also to the essential truths of Christian Science. King David, Solomon, Plato, Socrates, Confucius, and the philosophers who lived centuries ago told the plain, helpful truths which today are being passed off as New Thought. During the Dark Ages, the people lived in a benighted state. They would not believe or absorb simple truth, and consequently mystery, superstition, charms, and fetishes were looked upon as the power to help, and the methods by which relief from illness could be had. As the world became enlightened, gradually the old truths became re-established. Now there are hundreds of isms, cults, religions, and sects which have within the past few years sprung into popularity, and the basis upon which these various beliefs or teachings are founded is the old glorious truths dressed up and passed off as something entirely new. But all philosophers, whether ancient or modern, agree that the mind controls the body, and through the nerves has intimate relation with its organs and functions. Every part of your body, including the brain, is made up of tiny cells, which are being built up and broken down every minute of your life. Every move you make, every thought you think, destroys certain cells, and wonderful nature, if unhampered in its operation, sees to it that repair for the waste is made. The brain is the organ of the mind, as I have pointed out, just as truly as the stomach is the food organ and the heart, lungs, are organs in their respective offices. The nerves are the connecting wires over which the mind sends its orders and receives the incoming messages from every part of the body. I will give you some more practical illustrations showing the control of mind over matter. If you see a person whistling or playing a flute or cornet, stand in front of the player and suck a lemon. The mere sight of this will make it impossible for the performer to play, because the suggestion of the lemon means puckering of lips, and the thought works on the nerves controlling the muscles which make the mouth pucker. You pass by an open door where sirloin steak and onions are being cooked, and the odor, through the sensory nerves of smell, telegraphs the hunger sensation to the brain, and a mental picture is formed, an appetite created, until your mouth waters, as the saying is. That it waters is not fancy, but a real physical fact, for the hunger desire kindled by the odor causes the brain to order the salivary glands to prepare digestive juices for the expected food, and your mouth feels the water or saliva coming from the base of the tongue where the salivary glands are located. When you receive a shock, your skin turns cold, and this may be followed with alternate sweats or chills. If you are nauseated or seasick, the mention of fat, pork, or olive oil will be sufficient to cause you to feed the fishes. I could give you countless illustrations like these, showing how false suggestion will generate fear, and how your feelings are directly the results of your thoughts. Again, I bring this thought to you, that the one thing to do when you are under stress of worry is to change your thoughts to something else. When you think depressing thought, get your mind on cheerful things. Talk to someone whose very presence calms you. Read humorous stories. Listen to cheerful music. Employ any means you can to change the train of your thought. Study how you may help someone. Think of a person who suffers more than you do, who would be helped by your word of sympathy and cheer. Go out among the flowers. Cut the lawn. Fix the rusty gate. Repair the door latch. Take a tempting dish to a sick friend. Talk to some aged person. Show interest in some lonely friend whom others neglect. Help your wife undress the babies, or tell stories to the babies while she's busy. There are hundreds of ways to occupy your mind with useful things when it commences to think useless, footless, hurtful things. If you keep your mind occupied with good stuff, the bad thoughts can't come in. Now for our little review of the day. Have you done a kind act or a good deed? Have you helped someone? I hope you have. But anyway, promise here and now, before you go to sleep, that when you awake you will keep in your thought that you are to do a good deed, a kind act, to speak a word of sympathy and good cheer, and tomorrow night you will have a sweet pleasure and happiness as you open this book, and I will feel it too. Let tomorrow be a special day in this resolve. I just feel you are ready to cash in a lot of happiness from my suggestion. So good night, Sweet dreams to you, and don't forget your promise that tomorrow you are going to help someone. Chapter 17. We shall consider hypochondria, which is a frequent result of worry thought. Hypochondria is the state of imagining disease which does not exist, and sometimes it is the constant dwelling on a lesser ailment in the imagination that the ailment is a serious thing. As far back as Buddha's time, we learn that, quote, all that we are is the result of what we have thought, unquote. That is the same truth in another form which appears in the Bible. Quote, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he, unquote. The poor hypochondriac imagines he has disease. He feeds on that thought, and the thought thrives until the sufferer is miserable and a slave to drugs and medicines. Every doctor knows that if all medicines were prohibited by law, people would get well, and as Dr. Oliver Wendell Holmes said, quote, very likely the people would live longer, unquote. The doctor knows the power of mind over matter, and personally he believes in it, but he cannot afford to express the truth in full to his patient, for the doctor commercializes mystery and benefits in proportion as he writes prescriptions. Nevertheless, the doctor, by suggestion, gets or tries to get the mental attitude of the patient right. The doctor comes in with his cheery countenance, his words of courage, suggestion of hope, evidence of sympathy, and promise of help. These are the things that help the patient more than the prescription. I do not decry or belittle the use of antiseptics or drugs for acute troubles or contagious diseases. I am speaking now of hypochondria, and trying to make it clear to you that you cannot get relief from hypochondria out of a bottle, but you can get it from mental suggestion. When the doctor treats the hypochondriac, it's not the medicine, but the faith in the medicine, faith in the doctor and the confidence in the doctor's promise that does the good. Hypochondria predisposes you to the very thing you fear. What you sow, you will reap. If you sow fear thoughts, you will reap fear. If you think you have disease, you will suffer as though you really had the disease. If you are in dread of catching cold, very likely you will often have colds. When you get the ability to dominate your mental self, you will not suffer through fear. The person who is always bundling up and fussing around with overshoes and scarves is the one who most frequently has colds. There is a close relationship between the fear of catching cold and the physical act of bundling up to prevent the cold. I have often been out in a boat all day with my feet wet. I have walked through mud, exposed myself to dampness, and been in the downpouring rain, and come home at night without catching a cold. I have seen others who seem to catch a cold if they walk out in the dew. I had no fear of cold. I did not catch cold. Last year the women wore high collars and fancy fluffs and things around their necks. This year the style is low necks, low-neck dresses, like the simple old style our mothers knew. And so far as I can see and learn, there are less colds and throat troubles among the women this year than last. The women have learned that confidence and care will prevent colds. Chapter 18. Countless millions of little cells are the units which make our body, and just as one individual or one apple is liable to spoil others with which it comes in contact, so the bad cells of the body quickly exert bad influence. The blood is busy every minute of the day and night carrying off dead and broken down cells and bringing new cells to take the places of the old ones. The blood comes from the food you take in. There are 3 kinds of food necessary to human life: air, water, and material substance. How important, therefore, it is that the air you breathe, the water you drink, and the food you eat shall be of the quality and quantity to bring the best results. Good food is impaired in its life-giving value if the mind is working improperly, because the food does not get the right secretions for its digestion. Some keen observer said that most Americans who had died had dug their graves with their teeth, and there is much truth in this statement. We all eat too much. We require about our own weight in food each month, or about 3% of our weight each day. I shall not impose upon you any rules of diet. Generally speaking, you should be able to eat what you like, but the one thing to keep in mind is that we all eat too much, and this imposes extra work on the digestive organs. It builds up fat, and the fat requires the building of a lot of extra veins that makes just so much more work for the heart. The human engine is very elastic in its power. It can do a prodigious amount of work, and nature has arranged that in such cases the human engine can consume large quantities of food and take care of it properly. The trouble with most men is that they keep their 100-horsepower boilers going to full capacity when the work required only calls for 15-horsepower energy. The matter of taste and savour nearly always prejudices us in favour of seasoned foods and sweet dishes. We eschew the very things we should chew. That is, we take pastry, soft, easily swallowed, pleasant-tasting food for our meals instead of roughage, and the roughage is necessary to keep the alimentary tract in good condition. Eat plainer foods. Frequently eat dry toast, but do not soften it with liquid food. Chew the toast thoroughly, for this causes the salivary glands to act and helps the digestive process. If you are thin and require fat, eat bacon in the morning. But do not have it fried to a crisp, for that means the fat, the very thing you're after, has been eliminated, and you're only taking in the least nourishing part of the bacon. Remember that eggs, milk, and whole wheat contain all the things necessary for the human body. Buttermilk is a splendid drink. Coffee, I won't say much about that, because I do not wish to raise a rumpus. I will meet you halfway with this proposition. Drink coffee for breakfast, buttermilk or sweet milk for the other 2 meals. Eat plenty of fruit, especially prunes and apples. In eating apples, do not commit the unpardonable crime against nature of peeling the apple before you eat it. The skin contains the phosphorus, the phosphates, and the real brain material of the apple. Remember, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. Try my way for a month of eating very much less than you have been eating. And it won't hurt you very much if you cut out the noonday meal altogether and take a good walk and eat an apple or 2 in place of your regular luncheon. Be regular in your meals. Avoid late-night suppers. Do not eat meat over once a day, and preferably mutton or chicken. I do not count the bacon you eat for breakfast, but I refer to heavy meats in quantities. When you are in a healthy, normal condition and get plenty of exercise each day, you will not have to bother much about what you have to eat. Those who are run down and suffering from indigestion or dyspepsia should consult a doctor as to the proper diet. The object I have in writing this book is to get you normally right, so that you can do pretty much as you like. I cannot give you any better or more truthful suggestion in the matter of food than these 3 rules. Eat less, eat slowly, eat plainer food. It goes without saying that the law of temperance applies here. That is, if you are run down and are eating a minimum amount of food, then of course the injunction to eat less does not apply. Chapter 19. When the stomach is affected, the result is either from physical cause or mental cause, very likely the latter. In either case, when the stomach is affected, the work it performs is of inferior quality. The work of the stomach is to extract the life-giving properties from the food you eat, and these properties are distributed through the body by the blood. If the stomach does not perform its office as nature intended, then the blood suffers, and consequently the whole system is impaired. We need nourishing food to give us storage, energy, and recuperative powers. Fatigue follows exertion, and fatigue is the result of overworked muscles or overworked nerves. When the fatigue is from nervous overdraft, it produces mental drowsiness. The brain gets sluggish, the whole body is out of sorts, until the repair crew brings vitalized cells to take the place of the destroyed cells. This is nature's plan to repair waste and to recharge exhausted energy. But when nature is presumed upon and insulted by the continued overdraft on her reserve, something has to give, and that something is the nervous system. Overworked muscles can be speedily restored by proper rest while the repair is going on, but overworked nerves are not so easily repaired. You must watch out and be careful not to overtax the nerves, for weakened nerve force affects the secretions of the body. Every cell in your anatomy is directly responsible to right thought. If the brain is not working properly, the entire system suffers. When you get your mind in supreme control of your body, you have built up a resistance, a reserve strength, and a power that makes you tingle with the very joy of living, and you will have no time to stop and argue over the pessimistic question, is life worth living? Every disease, of course, has a definite cause. Sometimes we find that the cause we see is merely a cause resting upon another cause. The pill may temporarily relieve constipation, a sweat may break up a cold, pepsin may digest your dinner, But below all these troubles there is impaired nervous action, and the permanent cure or relief will not come until the mind control makes the nerve action normal. The pills, the sweat, the pepsin may merely touch the branches of the tree, but they do not get at the root. The stomach is the place where medicines are taken. The fact that the great majority of our physical ills are due to stomach impairment or inefficient work has caused the country to be flooded with stomach remedies which artificially stimulate or artificially aid digestion. The gullible public, impressed with the wonderful claims and testimonials, buy the nostrums in tremendous quantities. There should be a law to prevent this quackery, and some day there will be such a law. I am pleased and encouraged to see that people are commencing to think and will listen to rational methods, helpful suggestions, and common sense. They are learning to think, and when the ability to think and the power of mental suggestion becomes universal, there will be less dope, fewer doctors, and healthier people. Chapter 20. You are a human being, equipped and fortified to defend yourself against all odds. The moment you show failure that you are not afraid, just then failure becomes afraid of you, because he's a bully, a bluffer, and therefore a coward. If you have stumbled, if you have gone down in defeat time and time again, you are not broken, but will begin to gather your strength bit by bit with grit and wit, until you make a hit, and fool all who thought you had been broken. You can do it, I know. You will take your defeats and errors and mistakes and use them as valuable experience for the future. Your bones will knit if they have been broken, your bruises will heal, your cuts will grow together. Time will take care of them, and there will be only scars left. You may be scarred, but you will not be scared. You may have been battered, but you are certainly bettered, and you will no longer be fettered, for you are going to assert your God-given willpower and take the reins and do the driving instead of being led and pulled downhill. You may have lost your money, but that really means you have only lost time. You have gained experience, and your time will do double service for you in the future by virtue of that glorious experience. You have not lost your manhood or your life. Everything else can be replaced, and you know it. You are learning to think right, and when you think right, you can fight right. When you think wrong, you cannot be strong. While others moan and groan, you will jump and hump, and you will get there. Get your backbone right, and your jawbone too. Failure has tried to keep you down. It has pulled the strings to your bow. But you are going to snap back, for you have abundant resources, and there is no such word as fail to you, because you simply will not give in. You used to spend your time yearning for strength, but now you find strength only comes by earning it. Henceforth you are to be pointed out as the strong one, who was beaten and battered, but by scientific thinking and living have got back health and pep. You are to be an example to others, to prove that they may come back as you have done. You will whisper courage to those in Shadowland and tell them to wake up and find their strength. You will be invincible the moment you make your willpower do its duty. Tackle the smaller things first, for practice, overcome them one by one, and later on you will as easily overcome the bigger things which you think are standing in your way of progress. The world is a sieve that lets the little narrow worthless trash slip through and separates the really big worthwhile kind. That's the kind you are. The world needs strong, powerful sons and daughters, and it has a way of setting them up amongst other people and jostling them around, bumping them against one another until they are well polished. The world soon finds who is who, but it never would be able to differentiate unless the tests of endurance were made. Leaders are not discovered or picked off trees. Leaders are those who prove themselves, and the proving ground is right here amongst us. It is life, with all its stones and hits and bangs and bruises and jolts and jars. The world shakes us up to see who is who. The big ones, by shaking process, rise to the top, and the little ones disappear with the trash. If you are lacking in courage or grit, and have not the willpower and strength, if your views are twisted or warped, you cannot stand the test, and you will slip through with the trash. But you are not lacking. You have these strength qualities, and have perhaps not been awakened to them. Here then is the rousing or awakening time. Success will not be handed to you in a pretty blue box tied with silk ribbons. I can give you no panacea by which you can be worthwhile without effort on your part. You must fight alone for your place, and you must fight fairly and patiently. Forget your pedigree. Throw aside your family pride, your aristocracy of birth, your advantage of heredity. These are all impedimenta. Strip clean and go to it. You must fight alone. I have shown you the weapons and given you the rules of strategy. I have been training you to make you fit, but you must make the fight. And you will make that fight, and you will win. This I promise you, and I know whereof I speak. End of chapter 16 through 20. Recording by J.A. Carter, www.pleonic.com. Chapters 21 through 25 of PEP, Poise, Efficiency, Peace, by Colonel William Crosby Hunter. Recording by J.A. Carter. Chapter 21. One of the greatest benefits you will receive from mind mastery will be shown in your relation to physical ailments. I do not go to the extreme of saying you can wish away the pain of an abscess in your tooth, but I do say you can lessen that pain by rising mentally superior to it and intoxicating yourself with the belief that you can stand the pain until nature breaks the abscess or the dentist relieves it. Pain and illness are merely nature's indicators that the normal conditions have been disturbed. It is a wise provision, to you who have reason and willpower, for you can set about to relieve the causes which produce the effect, and you can do it in a natural way. Fruit, water, and exercise will relieve the constipation. A good sweat will cure the cold. Regulation of the stomach, fresh air, or resting the eyes will receive the headache, and so on. Willpower, diet, air, exercise, baths, sleep, relaxation, these are nature's medicines, and the greatest of these is willpower. Don't grumble or whine over every little pain or distress. The trouble will be gone in a short time if you exert your willpower and direct your mind away from your aches instead of upon them. It is because nature mends and cures that doctors thrive. It is not their medicines that cure, but your faith in the medicine and the doctor. You can just as well assert your faith without the doctor and without the medicine. There are 10 million people in the United States who do not take medicine, and there is less mortality among these non-medicine takers than there is among those who call the doctor for every little pain they have. In cases of contagious disease, acute troubles, accidents, or wounds, call the doctor, of course. I am speaking of the aches, pains, and ailments of the everyday type, which are small and not serious in themselves, but seem big because they are aggravated by mental ferment. Rise superior to pain, and it will pass away. Nature is a fine doctor, and her fees are lowest. Chapter 22. The benefits from right thinking are apparent on every hand. Common sense thinking is bringing about an evolution in religion that is gloriously hopeful. Back yonder, and not so far back either, persecution, drowning, burning of so-called witches, imprisonment, and wars were common under the flag of religion. The Hindu woman threw her babe to the crocodiles, or threw it under the wheels of the juggernaut as a sacrifice to religion. Better thought has stopped these things. A score of years ago the preacher was excommunicated who dared to say hell was not fire and brimstone. Today there is hardly a preacher who believes in literal hell-fire. We are far from perfection, and have just commenced progress toward the universal religion of the God of love, charity, tolerance, kindness, good deeds, the religion of smiles instead of tears, sorrows, and self-condemnation. We shall have to tear down these lines of sects, divisions, and creeds. We must stand together with a broad purpose and under the banners of liberal belief and brotherhood welfare. The Church has kept in too narrow confines, too much habit, too much precedent, and too much dogma. Narrow minds have made narrow views. Prayer, generally, is selfish begging, and not broad, uplifting communion. This narrowness of vision, this selfishness, rivalry between sects, this dogma, or rather bull-dogma, has been retarding the progress that should develop faster and will develop faster from now on. The preacher of tomorrow will, as some are doing today, preach faith, love, joy, peace, instead of fear, hate, sadness, and suffering. The new joy notes of the Church will be comfort instead of distress. The new thought and the new practical religion will be as much greater in the matter of development and scope as the lines of Omar Khayyam are greater than Mother Goose rhymes, or as the 93rd Psalm is greater than the Lamentations of Job. God is all-powerful, all-present, all-seeing, and the purpose he has is love, not hate, joy, not sorrow, health, not illness, strength, not weakness, faith, not fear. His message on earth, taught by the Saviour, was a simple message. It was a message of joy. It frowned on forms, sects, and creeds. It was, "Come unto me, and whosoever believeth in me shall not perish." I have travelled much. I have met many ministers. I have listened to them talking to one another, and what did I hear? Our new building, raising a fund, paying off the mortgage, the splendid character and standing of our members. Always dollars, buildings, business, social affairs. Again, I listen, and it is the call the minister receives to a larger field of usefulness, etc. The preacher and the pugilist usually go where they hang up the biggest purse. But times will change. There is to be a better condition, a broader religion, a happier religion of cheers, not tears, smiles, not frowns, faith, not fear. And the members will sing, "We must know each other here," instead of "We shall know each other over there." And you know this is so. I may jar some of my friends in this chapter, and those who do not know me may think I am not a member of a church. I am a Presbyterian, and give all credit to my church, but I know the church will progress. It has progressed from the old days of heretics, hellfire, and stern, sad faces. I was baptized in a church where there was no organ, and later, when they put in an organ, the church divided. Religious thought has progressed, and it will not stop. That's what I mean. And I am looking ahead and trying to be a 7-day Christian during the evolution, instead of a Sunday church attendant whose Christianity is witnessed only on Sundays. The progress toward the new universal creed of joy, love, hope, and charity is very rapid, and I am very certain my prophecy will come true. That prophecy is, creed must go, Christians must teach joy and love instead of sorrow and hate, and all sects must join the get-together plan. Chapter 23. There are countless sorrows and sufferings and tears in the world that you can never alleviate. The undertaking is too big for you or for me. The Supreme Being will look after all the big things, and will be responsible for the general operation of the larger and more important things, if you will just attend to the little things you can reach from where you are. Get yourself right. Do the best you can. That is your duty, and that is what is expected of you. If each unit in the general scheme is right, the grand result will be right. Don't you worry about the dying people in India, or fret yourself because people across the seas are warring with one another. Don't you bother about evils you cannot stop. Do the thing you can do. The world is getting better only as fast as each individual unit is better. Every optimist helps just so much. As a unit, your first responsibility is to do right and be right yourself in act and thought and deed. I'm going to tell this same thing to everyone who reads this book, and to ask each of you to tell the others, and perhaps the wave of good impulse will widen out far more than we hope for. Anyway, every unit who helps makes a general improvement. Get your own vision clear. Kill off your own fear thoughts. Establish and hold faith and uplifting thought, and you have wonderfully improved the unit. Be strong. Nothing can harm you. The things you think are worries now will be forgotten about day after tomorrow. You will pass through these little present troubles, or through the big ones, if you please, just as you have passed through scores of troubles yesterday and the day before, which you have forgotten. Tomorrow is unborn. Yesterday is dead. Today is yours. That's your cue. Today. You cannot change yesterday, nor help the things that have gone into the past. You must look forward, not backward. Do not worry about tomorrow until tomorrow has changed into today. Today is your day, and you are going to start now, this minute, to make the best of today. Even if you didn't start the day right, you are going to finish it right. Hereafter, each day you are to smile, to speak kindly and cheerily to every one you meet. You will not do a mean act, nor speak a word that is not true about anyone. And if the truth would hurt a person, then you will not tell it, but remain quiet. You are going to say, "I will," instead of "I can't." You are going to write your blessings with indelible ink, and trace your misfortunes on the shifting sands at low tide. You are going to have faith, not fear. All these things you are going to do henceforth, and as a reward each night, when your head touches the pillow, You will have a sweet happiness, and you will go into a sound, refreshing slumber. I am authorized by that truthful old preceptor of mine, Experience, to promise you these blessings. If worry tries to whisper in your ear, laugh at him, for he cannot hurt you. Persistently direct your attention away from worry thought, and insistently keep your mind on good thought. Your own proposition is plenty big enough for you, so you must dismiss the responsibility about other people from your mind. Their troubles cannot be helped by your worrying about them. Help yourself first, and by your example and suggestion, show others the way to help themselves. Chapter 24. Centuries ago, a Chinese philosopher said, "The legs of the stork are long, the legs of the duck are short. I cannot make the legs of the stork short, neither can I lengthen the legs of a duck. So why worry?" The duck only brings misery to itself if it spends its time envying the long legs of the stork. The duck should be proud of its ability to swim. It can go out to the middle of the pond where the stork cannot wade. The duck that envies the stork his long legs is a pessimist. The duck that glories in its superior swimming powers is the optimist. Envy, born of pride and vanity, kills peace and contentment until you dismiss it from your life. Vanity and pride tells you you want fine clothes, a better house, or more money to spend, and you turn your eyes upon those objects as things necessary for your enjoyment. That longing is envy. Envy likely becomes the most important thought you have and stays with you while you sleep and when you wake. You compare your material things with the more expensive material things your neighbors have, and your envy causes you to worry. Stop this comparison. Quit belittling the things you have. Probably the very person you envy in the matter of material things is envying you your health or appetite or some of the other blessings you enjoy. Stop complaining about the weather or your health or your poverty. Count your blessings. Get busy with your hands and brains doing useful things. Occupation shuts the door to envy and worry. Come to think of it, what can you possibly gain by fretting over the weather? As long as you live, weather will be good and bad alternately. Accept the weather as it is. Be thankful you are alive, and remember that the rain you're complaining about is probably helping the crops. The most frequent envy and worry we come across is about money, and I wish I had the power, like the fairy godmother, to let you have all the money you want for a few weeks to show you how impossible it is for money to bring happiness. I recommend that you read The Magic Skin, that wonderful book by Balzac that deals with envy and wishes, and shows what a footless thing money is as a method of producing happiness. I should like you to notice the faces of the next few millionaires you meet. I will give you a reward of a hard-boiled egg for every smile you can detect on millionaires' faces. As material possessions increase, worries increase and smiles decrease. Money-making is a foolish ambition if you really want happiness. You can be rich by saving your pennies, turning them into dollars, and hoarding them away. And while you're doing this, your heirs are counting the days until you die, and leave your fortune to them to squander. Save up your pennies, and your dollars will be blown in by your heirs. Money will get many things for you. It is a present help in time of sickness. But money as a means to happiness is a forlorn hope. The rich man you envy is looking at you, envying your health and contentment. While you envy his gold and bonds and jewelry and automobiles, he is envying your energy and strength and courage and health. And these treasures are far beyond the ability of dollars to purchase. Chapter 25. It is a mistake to think that all men are born equal. Nothing in nature is equal. No two trees, no two blades of grass, no two of anything nature produces are just alike. The secret for you to solve is to get the best results from the equipment you have. I have seen a one-armed man row a boat and a one-legged man ride a bicycle, but neither of these men did a good job. The man fitted by nature to be a blacksmith is wasting his time taking lessons in millinery. You should not attempt any calling or ideal which accident or nature has unfitted you. You must find your gait, and the gait you can go best is the one for you to follow. Quote, "Life is a play, the world a stage," unquote, as Bill said. If you can't be the star, you can be captain of the Roman mob, or one of the mob, or even a scene shifter. The point is, you can enjoy the play as well as the star performer. There are to be master workmen and hewers of stone, and there are to be labourers. Those who are labourers today may be hewers of stone tomorrow, and day after tomorrow they may be master workmen. Those who progress are the ones who have the capacity, the strength, the ability, and the patience which entitles them to promotion. The master workman did not growl or complain when he was a labourer. He knew that his job as labourer was but a stepping stone to a larger future. It is right to have ambition, but you must not have ambition which is clearly beyond the capacity of your talents. Let your ambitions, above all things, be for peace of mind and happiness, and for a sufficiency to provide the necessary things of life for the loved ones, rather than an ambition for riches to provide the unnecessary things in life for your loved ones. Men are not equal in mental or physical powers. They are equal only in possessing the same opportunity to get happiness and joy and health. A few more years and we will all have vanished from this life. We will be equal only in physical stature in the grave. In the value of our souls we shall be unequal in our measure, and gold will not be the rule used to differentiate. It will be a question of good deeds, and the measure of good deeds will be in proportion as you and I have had capacity and opportunity. The widow's penny will outweigh the millionaire's silken purse of gold. The lowliest born may have developed into the noblest of them all. No matter how hard your life has been, there is a joy for every tear you have shed, only you did not know perhaps how to find the joy or how to dry the tears. Life is better when you wear a sweet face than when your face is sour. Sneer at nothing, judge no one, for you likely will be found short weight yourself in the scales of justice. You are going to be charitable, because in your dark hours was learned what a beautiful thing charity was. You will be just and fair, because you have been unjustly treated. You have lost much, but you learned a splendid lesson in your loss, because you kept your self-respect and found out that the only real hard luck in the world is loss of life or loss of health. No one is going to get the best of you, because you have learned to keep the best for yourself. You cannot be kept down, because you will not be downhearted. You have learned that you can endure more than you thought, and you know the value of blessings like charity, justice, smiles, and you have learned that you came through all your troubles all right. From now on, your vision will be broader, fairer, and more charitable. You are going to hold on to faith and determination, to be bigger and better, while others scold on and worry and get smaller and smaller. You are not going to be a fatalist in thinking that all men are born equal, but you are going to thank your stars that you were born way above the average in mental capacity and ability. End of chapters 21 through 25. Recording by J.A. Carter, www.pleonic.com. Chapters 26 through 30 of PEP, Poise, Efficiency, Peace, by Colonel William Crosby Hunter. Recording by J.A. Carter. Chapter 26. Here is a universal prescription for happiness and an antidote for worry poison. This prescription is for old and young, rich and poor, weak and strong. In other words, it is for all. It is a precious prescription, and one I want you to remember and keep ever near you. It is one of the greatest helps in this whole study of ours. The prescription I am going to give you will cure you or your friends of worry. It is the boiled-down essence of this whole book, even as the 10 Commandments are the essence of the laws of the Bible. I want you to write this prescription for your friends. It is not necessary to diagnose the case, as the prescription fits all cases and is a sure cure. Doctors have changed in their methods. The original doctor had charms, fetishes, and bitter medicines. Later on, the doctor cured the patient with vile-smelling and bitter decoctions. Then came the time of bleeding the patient. I mean literally. Some of them still bleed the patients in the matter of fees. Doctors know that drugs, at best, give only temporary relief. Some of them are big enough to admit that 90% of the non-contagious diseases are diseases of imagination and can be cured through the mind. The doctor of today plays up hygiene, diet, and exercise. He gives you a small package of drugs and a big package of advice about eating, sleeping, and exercising, and the advice he gives you, free, is worth more than the drugs he charges you for. In all sciences, time has brought many changes, but this prescription is one that has endured for ages, and is one that will endure until time shall be no more. I call this great thing the golden prescription. It is composed of just 8 ingredients, as follows: good air, good water, good sunshine, good food, good exercise, good cheer, good rest, good thought. It doesn't make much difference how the ingredients are used, just so you get all of them. Take up the list each night and see that every ingredient has been used, for the prescription is greatly weakened if any of the ingredients are left out. Every day you live, and you are going to have many days to live, take these 8 mind and body builders, and your life will be one of the great testimonials to the efficacy of the prescription. If you forget all else in this book, just remember this golden prescription, and tie it to the golden rule, and then you will have a good thing plus. Is it not a fact that the mere suggestion of this golden prescription and the anticipation of the benefits it is going to bring you have made you feel better already? Chapter 27. I'm going to tell you about some of the ingredients in our golden prescription. One of them is sunshine. Not only sunshine of countenance and bearing, but the real, literal, natural, outdoor sunshine. Sunshine is a fine tonic for our physical bodies as well as for our mental selves. Nature intended our bodies should have sunshine. One of my good friends who believes in practical physical culture has worked wonders with her little girl by giving her sun baths. Every day she has the little one bask in the sunshine without a stitch of clothing. In the winter time, of course, the child is indoors getting the sunshine through the windows, but in the summer time the little one is out on the open porch. I wish you could see what a marvelous, smooth, healthy skin that child has. The mother has never had to call the doctor. The little girl never has a cold. She does not suffer from heat or cold, or change in the weather. Years ago, everyone lived much of the time out of doors. Then, worry and despondency were things very rare. With our modern civilization keeping us indoors so much of the time, we have witnessed a great change. With our indoor life shut in from the sunshine, we have brought gloomy thoughts to our gloomy rooms. Get outdoor sunshine, and you will bring in mental sunshine to the home, and you will spread cheer, will give courage, and will lighten hearts. Sunny homes make sunny people. Nothing will burn gloomy clouds like sunbeams of cheer. Foggy days make foggy thoughts, and these are the days we should make sunshine in our hearts to dissipate the gloom. The next ingredient in our prescription is good air. Go into a stuffy room or a crowded streetcar, and you will have a headache. Remain in an illy ventilated room all day, and you will have pains over your eyes. This is the warning from your business office, the brain, that you should go out and breathe fresh air. Fresh air contains oxygen. Oxygen purifies the blood. Good blood makes good bodies. Every drop of blood in your system goes through the lungs. The lungs are porous, like a sponge. The lungs hold the blood so that the oxygen can quickly reach it. Every breath of air you take goes through the sponge and mixes with the blood. As you expel the air, it carries with it the poisonous gas eliminated from the system. Don't you see that if you send in bad air to feed the blood upon, you will have starved blood, and that is mighty poor material with which to build new bones, muscles, or nerves. Every day, especially in the morning and evening, go out of doors, breathe in great big lungs full of pure air. Do not strain yourself, but fill every part of your lungs. Soon you will feel your blood tingling and your head will clear. Good breathing prevents sluggish blood. Sluggish blood leads to congested veins, congested bowels, congested liver, and indigestion. And we have learned that indigestion is responsible for most physical ailments. Isn't it a fine thing to know that you can burn out the impurities of the blood with good, pure air and deep breathing? Good air is necessary to good health. Open your bedroom windows, no matter how cold the weather is outside. Keep your body warm with covers, but let in plenty of air, and in the morning you will feel like a new person if you have been used to sleeping with the windows down. Do not imagine that it is necessary that the wind should blow through your room in great draughts in order to supply you with fresh air. If there is but one window in the room, then the door should be partially open to allow the fresh air to pass through. This chapter has had to do with air and sunshine, the 2 most valuable tonics in the prescription. You cannot take an overdose of either of them. Chapter 28. Natural exercise is best, because it is a pleasure as well as a benefit. Exercise in a gymnasium or exercise with apparatus is solemn, and it is exertion, and the mental wear offsets physical gain. You need no golf club, gymnasium, or apparatus to get natural exercise. Shanks mares are better than Kentucky thoroughbreds. It is not necessary to use vibrators, dumbbells, golf clubs, or artificial apparatus. You have within yourself two great things to exercise with, the legs and the lungs. The wild animal exercises in captivity. He knows nothing about apparatus. You have seen animals that have lived in cages for many years, some of them perhaps born in captivity. You have wondered how they have kept strong, because their lives in captivity are so different from their natural existence in the open. From the lion's health we draw a lesson. The lion makes the best use of his present existence. He cannot roam the hills, jump the streams, or have the natural exercise he is accustomed to. But nature provides some exercise for him, and all that is necessary to keep him in good shape is to stretch his muscles. The cat at your hearth is formerly a wild animal, and used to outdoor exercise. But your cat and his ancestors have for many generations lived in the house. The cat is today a domestic animal. In his evolution from the wild beast to the present tame house cat, he has never forgotten how to exercise. Observe him when he arises from a sleep. The first thing he does is to stretch and flex the muscles. The cat also teaches us the lesson of repairing the waist, for after exercise he invariably lies down to sleep. The farmer has his hay fields and his outdoor duties to keep him well exercised. But you, who live in the city, do not have such advantages, and you should follow the example of the cat, who learned to exercise by stretching his muscles. You can exercise while sitting in a chair, or while lying in your bed, or when standing up before a mirror. Stretch your muscles, take deep breaths, bend and twist your body. This will do you more good than a gymnasium. The trouble with the gymnasium is that it makes you exercise too strenuously. You work hard with apparatus and get yourself into a sweat. Generally you feel too warm because the ventilation is poor and the atmosphere seems stuffy, so you open the windows. Your skin, being covered with perspiration, makes a fine place for the draught to strike and cause cold or congestion. The best exercises are walking, breathing, and stretching the muscles. Strenuous exercise is not good for you. You know very well that the cup winners and pugilists and track men who are trained athletes are proverbially short-lived people. Strenuous exercise works the heart and lungs to double activity. It builds up hard muscles, it's true. Let me say, if your work is strenuous, then the exercise of your work will take care of the muscle building. If you are not actively engaged with your muscles, you do not need hard knots or double strength for the purposes of your occupation. Conservation of strength is better than waste of strength through exercise beyond your bodily need. Chapter 29. The first thing in the morning, and the last thing at night, and during the day when you have opportunity, stand up and take in 15 or 20 deep breaths. Do not stretch your lungs too much, just good full breaths. Then stretch your arms, legs, and your body. Twist your neck from side to side. Try to bring every muscle of your body into play. Even at your desk you can exercise by sitting erect and taking in good breaths. Stand up and imagine you have a 50-pound weight in your right hand. Stretch your muscles and raise your arm as though you actually had 50 pounds in your hand. You will be surprised to see the strength that you can put into that arm and how you can feel that the muscles have been well exercised. If your exercise at night brings out the perspiration, just before you go to bed, rub your body dry with a rough towel. It will be good to bathe with cool water first. Rub your body briskly until it brings a red, healthy glow to the skin. Then go to sleep, and you will have no trouble with insomnia. Exercise is nature's greatest medicine if taken in a common-sense way, and it is a dangerous one if indulged into excess. Exercise is necessary to clean the muscles, repair the waist, but particularly for the purpose of adding new material. Physical exercise helps the circulation, digestion, and regulates the liver. A good brisk walk, good breathing as you walk, a good drink of water before you start, will break up constipation and bring about far better results than a dose of pills or drugs. The great cause of constipation is lack of exercise, and it is much better to prevent constipation by exercise than to attempt to cure it by putting poison into the system. One is the natural method, the other is the artificial. Natural methods are best. Drink plenty of water, never ice water. Everything you take into your system passes out after the life-giving, nourishing properties have been extracted. Solids pass through the bowels. Liquids, laden with salt and other chemicals, pass out through the kidneys and urinary ducts and through the pores of the skin. A man of ordinary weight and in good health should eliminate about 2 quarts of liquid a day, and over half of this goes out in the form of perspiration. After exercise, you should have rest, for this is the time nature repairs your body and your brain and stores up energy for the body like a battery. Your battery must be replenished in order to have it complete its function, so you see the necessity of proper rest. When you worry, you can't rest well, and lack of rest prevents storing up strength and energy in your battery. Nature demands that you take rest. You must have it. Exercise lets down the high pressure of nerve tension and rests the brain. Physical exercise not only brings about the desire for rest, but it produces a natural tiredness that makes rest so sweet and enjoyable. Rest is nature's restorer. It builds and strengthens. It cleans the mind and makes you think better. In the time of rest, you get the benefit of thoughts which came to you in your active moments. Many of the benefits you get from this book will be gained because you read the chapters and learn the truths just as you go to rest, and the impressions are permanent. You should learn to take a few minutes' rest at intervals during the day. Sit down in your chair, quietly relax, and endeavor to clean out the brain and relax the muscles. You must exercise the lungs and diaphragm. A good way to do this is to laugh. The vibrations caused by laughter put the liver, lungs, and diaphragm in a quick jelly-like vibration, and give pleasant sensation and exercise like that of horseback riding. During digestion, the movements of the stomach are similar to churning. Every time you take a breath, the diaphragm descends and gives the stomach an extra squeeze and pinch. The trouble is that the man who sits at a desk uses only part of his lungs and does not distend the diaphragm as nature wishes. Frequent laughing will make up for this lack of natural exercise of the diaphragm. Laughing wakes up the digestive organs. The heart beats faster and sends the blood bounding through the body. There is not a remote corner or a little inlet of the tiniest blood vessel of the body that does not feel the waves of motion occasioned by a good hearty laugh. Laughter accelerates the respiration and gives a glow to the whole system. It brightens the eye, increases perspiration, expands the chest, forces the bad air from the lung cells, and tends to restore that exquisite balance which we call health. Health comes from the harmonious action of all the functions of the body working in a normal way. This poise, which we destroy by sleeplessness, bad news, grief, fear, anxiety, or worry, is fully restored by a hearty laugh. Laughter is an aid to digestion. That is why public speakers tell funny stories at banquets. It not only supplies the brain with cheerful thoughts and banishes worry, but it actually aids digestion. For your exercise each day, you ought to stand up, take deep breaths, stretch the muscles, walk several miles, spend a few minutes in little mental recesses during the day, and laugh and cultivate cheerfulness. Say funny things, whether they come from your heart or not. They'll provoke laughter in the other person, and the very activity of trying to make others laugh will cause you to catch the spirit of it and learn to laugh yourself. Chapter 30. Can you control your thoughts and keep from worrying? You certainly can. Have a little patience and plenty of faith that your willpower is going to banish worry. If worry could be banished by saying, "Begone," in a few minutes there would be no worry in the world. Worry is the child of fear. You must defy your fear troubles. You dignify them with too much importance. You must learn to think of other things. You can control your thoughts and keep from worrying just as surely as you can control your actions in the presence of others. I will demonstrate this to you. You have known men who say they just cannot help swearing, and yet when they get in the presence of ladies, they curb their language and they do not swear. Why is this? Simply because they use willpower to control their tongues. You have worried, you have cried, you have been just miserable with the blues because you just could not help it. A child is hurt or someone is in distress, and you rush to the rescue. Then where is your worry? Where are your tears? What has become of your blues? Your very thoughts were taken away from you by outside circumstances, and new thoughts took the place of the worried thoughts, and your tears dried and your worries vanished. Worry is incessant thought about yourself, coupled with fear and dread. You get into the mire of worry, and your feet get so tangled that you can't get out. You flounder and get yourself into a terrible fix, just because you give up and say you can't help it. But you can help it. Brace up. Exert your willpower. You are going to climb up out of it. Notice the importance of the word up. You are going to higher altitudes where you can see over the hills and get a broader view. There will be nothing dark and cloudy in the future to interrupt you in your journey and study. You must not worry about the weather. You must not grunt or growl. You must exercise and rest. You must learn to rest and to eliminate. You must cast off thoughts and cares about things you cannot control. Cut out envy. Pocket your pride, for envy and pride are partners of worry, and they intoxicate you into a mental state where you do not see things clearly. Get the good thought in. Say to yourself that you are traveling on the right road. No matter how you feel, you know you are right, and that is more to you than anything else in the world. Do not bother about what others do or say or think about you. You will not be sensitive to criticism. You know that the greater you are and the stronger you grow, the less you will be disturbed by what the "they say" mischief maker says about you. You have common sense, reason, good suggestions. You have acquired benefits in proportion as you have read and practiced the helpful truths we have brought to you in these chapters. From now on your progress will be greater than ever, for you are getting proof of what the mind can do for you when you make it do your bidding. There is now one special thing I want you to do for at least 10 days. Do not go to the table at noon. Let your midday meal consist of 1 or 2 apples, skins and all. Chew them thoroughly. No matter how hungry you get, skip the noonday meal entirely, and you will be surprised at the benefit coming from giving your stomach a rest and house cleaning, with apples to help scour it out. Occasionally, in the future, try these 10-day periods of 2 meals a day, with apples only as a midday tonic. Use your allotted noon hour for quiet relaxation if your work calls for physical exertion, or use it for a walk if your occupation is of a sedentary nature. End of chapters 26 through 30. Recording by J.A. Carter. www.pleonic.com. Chapters 31 through 35 of PEP, Poise, Efficiency, Peace, by Colonel William Crosby Hunter. Recording by J.A. Carter. Chapter 31. I want to tell you of a case I know about, showing the benefits of good spirit and cheerfulness. A woman in the West had a crushing sorrow. Despondency, indigestion, insomnia, and other kindred ills followed. She determined to throw off the gloom which was making life so heavy a burden to her, and established the rule that she would laugh at least 3 times a day, whether occasion was presented or not. She trained herself to laugh heartily at the least provocation, and would go to her room and make merry all by herself. This woman was soon in excellent health and grand spirits, and her home became a sunny, cheerful abode. At first her husband and children were amused at her, and while they respected her determination because of the grief she bore, they did not enter into the spirit of the plan. But after a while, the funny part of the idea struck the woman's husband, and he began to laugh every time his wife spoke about it. When the husband came home, he would ask her if she had taken her regular laugh during the day, and he would laugh when he asked the question, and he laughed again when she answered it. The children thought Mamma's notion was very queer, but they laughed at it just the same. Gradually the children told other children, and they told their parents. The husband spoke of it to their friends, and finally the neighborhood people, when meeting this woman, would ask her how many laughs she had today. Naturally they all laughed when they asked the question, and that made the woman laugh too. This woman had been weighted down with the greatest kind of sorrow, and troubled with worry. But this simple rule of laughing 3 times a day brought her out of it and put her into a new way of living. It relieved her of indigestion, banished the headaches, gave her poise and peace, and her whole home was better. And not only this, but the entire neighborhood received benefit from this good suggestion. Follow this suggestion of laughing 3 times a day, and prove the benefit of it in your own experience. Chapter 32. Do you have trouble in sleeping? If so, you cannot expect to get a medical prescription from me that will make you sleep. The only thing that will produce sleep artificially is a drug, and that is worse than no remedy at all. The ability to sleep well comes from getting yourself in good health and establishing within you the poise I have spoken about a few chapters ago. In other words, sleeplessness is the result of fear thought and continued training of your mental activity on your troubles until they become magnified. If the bugaboos come tonight and you just cannot sleep, do not worry over the matter or fret yourself till you fall asleep through sheer exhaustion. Let's change your old way of thinking about the matter. What if you don't sleep for a while? It isn't going to kill you. Know this, it will not be long before you will sleep like a baby, just as soon as you get the worry habit out of your system and learn to control yourself and get rest and exercise and a rational method of living. Tonight, if you do not sleep, get up and walk outdoors. Look up into the sky. Take a lot of deep breaths. If the weather is warm enough, walk on the grass barefooted. Get in touch with good old Mother Earth and absorb some of her magnetism. See the signs above of the power that creates. The stars are sending you messages, telling you that you are part of the great plan of the universe, that you can and that you will be strong. Resolve under this canopy of heaven that you are going to think up, not down, that you have everything to be thankful for, and that the suggestions you are getting will surely help you. Say to yourself that you are going to get over these little worries that now bother you, even as you overcame others in the past. Remember, nothing that was not real has ever hurt you, and that worry is imagination. The past you cannot help or change. The future is not here. Today, now, is the only time in your life when you can improve yourself. Go back to bed, lie on the flat of your back, and raise your feet, first one, then the other. Raise them alternately, very slowly, until you feel your legs are getting tired. Then, when you have brought about that tired feeling, say to yourself, I can sleep. I will sleep. I am thinking great thoughts, planting good seed. I am choking out the bad thoughts. I am benefiting myself. Repeat helpful scripture thoughts like those of the 93rd Psalm. Comfort and a sweet feeling of confidence will come over you when you get into the state of mind that you are superior to evil thoughts, and that troubles are imaginary only. Do the best you can. What you cannot prevent cannot be helped by regretting that you cannot help it. You are going to lose dear ones. You are going to have sorrows. They will come to you as they come to all of us. But you must accept and bear these sorrows, which you cannot help, remembering that there is a wise provision in nature that time lessens the sorrows and heals the heart. Hearts do not break, they only bend. When you are deep in sorrow, modify that sorrow with the thought that in accordance with the law of compensation, you are going to get good and happiness to overbalance all the sorrow and unhappiness that has been your luck. And for your comfort, remember that truth which has been handed down through the centuries. The Lord tempers the wind to the shorn lamb. And likewise, come unto me, all ye that are weary and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. There will be those who weep for you when you pass out of this life. Take comfort in the thought that there will be sorrow because they loved you. Loved you. Why did they love you? Because you worried? No. They loved you because you cheered them, you sympathized, and you helped them. It was your cheer and kindness that brought about the love. Aren't you glad that you are getting into the better way of thinking? Does not happiness commence to come to you as you are gaining confidence in yourself, and as you are beginning to be of service in the world? Resolve to do a kind act tomorrow. Make someone see your heart. Speak softly, smile, and tomorrow sunshine will be in your heart, and a sweet something in your thoughts which words cannot tell. And you will sleep, I am sure. Think of the good you are going to do tomorrow. Go to sleep with this resolve, to thank God for the very fact that you are alive, and for the fact that you can and will do some good to someone. Think this way, and as your head lies on the pillow, you will hear the rustle of angels' wings, and see visions of joy on the dreamland faces of those you love and those you are going to be kind to. Get such thoughts in your head, and you will find that sleep will come to you, and that sleep will be refreshing. Chapter 33. You have had too much conceit, too much self-consciousness in the past. You have been comparing your weak points with the strong points of others. It may be the one you are envying most is suffering hardship. It may be that very person is envying you. You must not condemn yourself. It's cowardly. It is fear thought, and that is the parent of worry. Discouraging thoughts come to your mind, and if you brood over them, you are establishing worry. The longer you think worry, the longer it will take to eliminate worry. You must keep your mind filled with beautiful thoughts, and do not let them die for lack of nourishment. As I have said before, there is nothing that comes out of the brain that doesn't go in there first. I want you to realize the importance of continually feeding your brain with uplifting faith thoughts. Say to yourself, I am strong. I can do this. I can do that. Instead of saying, I am weak. I am tired. I am sick. I can't do this. I can't do that. I'm no good. I'm played out. All this self-condemnation hurts you, and you are putting bad thoughts in your brain where they crowd out the good thoughts. There are many opportunities for you to take short, brisk, invigorating walks. If you live in the city, walk part, if not all the way, to your place of business, instead of riding in stuffy streetcars. Walking will help digest your breakfast, will stimulate your system, and put you in fine state for the day. How much better it is to take this natural exercise than to ride to your office in a crowded streetcar and be forced to the necessity of knocking off for the afternoon to take exercise. The object of exercise is to enliven and build all parts of the body, and this is best done by simple movement of the muscles and not by violent movement. Walking is one exercise that gives you the simplest movements. I have, for 10 months, regularly walked from my home to my office. I walk every morning, rain or shine. I have missed only 2 or 3 mornings when the snow and sleet and ice on the ground made it uncomfortable to walk. The glorious mental rest I get during the walking is something I cannot well explain. At first it was somewhat irksome, but now it is a distinct pleasure, and I resent any interference with my plan of walking to my place of business. I call my walking my golf club, and I get more benefit from walking than I used to get when I played golf. Because when I played golf, I always had a partner, and my mind was on the game, and I did not have the pleasure of soliloquy, which I do have when I am walking. The very fact that I am alone, with nothing to disturb me, gives my brain a fine exercise and helps generate beautiful thoughts. The old judge who walks quietly to court, and the minister or the businessman who walks much, get plenty of air and sunshine, and they live longer than trained athletes. While you are walking, think beautiful, helpful thoughts, and thus build your mind as you build your body. Do not walk in company with another, for then you get into conversation, and your mind is in a wrong channel of activity. When you are walking alone, you have a calm, cobweb-clearing head action. Do not ride to your office or the store. Walk part of the way, and then every day walk a little farther. When you come home at night, you will feel the benefit of this natural exercise. It is nearly 4 miles from my house to my office. I used to think it was a long distance, but now it is about 60 minutes of extreme pleasure. I do not walk fast. I walk comfortably, slowly, and enjoy every step I take. Walking develops breathing. It exercises the muscles of the chest and gives the lungs room to expand, sends the blood in regular pulsations from the heart to the lungs, clears the head, soaks the body with oxygen, which revitalizes the worn parts and carries new strength to all the system. All outdoor games, such as golf, tennis, baseball, are good because they make you breathe fresh air, but there are none of these games as good for you as walking. Do not walk briskly, or work yourself up into a sweat. Do not walk as though you are training. When you start out on your morning's walk, enjoy the sunshine, the birds, and all nature. You will find the morning walk much better for you than the morning cocktail. Chapter 34. Cheer, that is the tonic. It is the cord on which all the beads in our golden prescription are strung. Cheer is the official advertisement of health and happiness. The Bible says, "Be of good cheer, and a merry heart maketh a cheerful countenance." Read the songs of David and the Proverbs of Solomon and see what they say about cheer. Cheer is the arch-enemy of worry. Cheer and faith are soldiers with armour which the hordes of worry demons can never penetrate. Let us study the ingredients of the golden prescription and say them over again to fix them in our memory. They are air, water, sunshine, food, exercise, rest, thought, cheer. Even as you say these 8 words, you can see worry hiding and sneaking away, because you are considering helpful things and taking into your mind glorious ideas. While you study these chapters, you do not worry, do you? And why haven't you worried as you read these truths and suggestions? Simply because, as I have time and time again said to you, no 2 objects can occupy the same space at the same time, and because you are occupied and interested in uplifting helpful thoughts instead of depressing fear and worry thoughts about non-existing phantoms that cannot hurt you. Worry is a great bluffer, but you are getting strong and you are ready to call the bluff. You have been thinking and filling that filing cabinet of your brain with helpful thoughts, and you have faith and belief, and you can say in the proper spirit, "I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. The Lord is my comforter, I shall not want. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. Fear thou not, for I am with thee. I will strengthen thee. Yea, I will help thee. Yea, I will uphold thee." The old bugaboo worry can't make you miserable about the things that are never going to happen to you. You are strong, you have faith, you have courage, and you know that worry is unreal, untrue, and unfair. Worry is the dragon that makes faces to scare children, but you are no longer a child. Worry is a false face that tries to bother us, a dragon of evil that tries to torture us. Worry is conceived in wickedness, born in cowardice, and living in fear-thought. It thrives on the weak, chasing those who run, pouncing on those who are afraid. Like a cur dog that chases you and barks, worry can be frightened away if you will turn around, stand your ground, and say boo to it. Now a little summing up of the good things you have learned. Say this over and over: I am not afraid. I am emancipated. I have cast off the shackles. I am free. Nothing in the world can harm me unless I let it, and I will not let it. I have no place for worry because my thoughts are far above the low fear and cowardly effect of worry. I have cast out fear, cast out worry, and established in their places faith and confidence. You're feeling better, dear reader, are you not? You have learned helpful truths, and there are more wonderful ones yet for you to learn. And these wonderful truths have been handed down for generations. They are old thoughts and are good thoughts because they have been tested by time. In the next chapter, I will tell you of them. So go to bed with faith and courage, with joy and happiness within you, because you are getting strong and are learning the right way to think, and you are confident I am telling you the truth and am sincere with you. I have not been preaching down to you, but have been talking on the level with you. Chapter 35. Here are truths that were uttered at a time when men knew nothing of the high tension and nervous strain of modern civilization. These truths have grown stronger and stronger as time has passed. They are truths of the Bible. They are good. Let us repeat some of them and see what glorious strength and help they promise to bring to you. I care not what religion you believe in or what sect you favor. These are certain helps, and they are positive benefits to any one who repeats them or believes in them. There is nothing in any of these truths to which you can find exception, no matter what your religion may be. I shall not stop to quote the chapter and verse from which these truths are taken, but they are all from the Bible. He that is slow to anger is better than the mighty, and he that ruleth his spirit than he who taketh a city. Take therefore no thought for the morrow shall take thought for the things of itself. Sufficient unto the day is the evil thereof. And yet, after all these centuries, and with these positive promises before us, the great number of people are worrying about tomorrow and making troubles of the things that are going to occur. Yet these things will not happen, cannot happen, and cannot bother you if you keep worry out of your mind. A merry heart doeth good like a medicine, but a broken spirit drieth the bones. That truth was uttered by Solomon, and it holds good today. Cast ye all your care upon him, for he careth for you. Be of good comfort. Thy faith hath made thee whole. Go in peace. Surely he hath borne our griefs and carried our sorrows. Commit thy way unto the Lord, and trust him, and he shall bring it to pass. Above all, take ye the shield of faith, wherewith ye shall be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked. What comfort those truths will give you! And again, listen. Fear thou not, I am with thee. Be not discouraged, I am thy God. I will strengthen thee, yea, I will help thee, yea, I will uphold thee. The Creator made you. He made the earth, the sun, the moon, the stars, the sky. He made all the planets in this universe we know about. He made all the 3,000 stars you see on a clear night. And yet, brother, each of these 3,000 stars is a sun around which a number of planets revolve, the same as these we know about revolve about the sun we know about. And when you consider each one of these stars as the center of a universe, just remember that there are many more universes beyond those. This is God's work, and it is wonderful that he will help so small a thing as you. He has made you. He will help you if you will go to him and have faith. His promises are true. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. And he is with you, and will be with you, if you have the faith to commune with him in silent prayer. Think faith as you pray. Think not the blessings are merely things you get for the asking. To many, prayer is a rehearsal of desires. It's like a child who asks for presents from Santa Claus. It is a one-sided proposition. There are several 100,000 ministers in the United States, and the chances are that every Sunday each one of these ministers gives the Lord a list of little temporal, earthly things he wishes the Lord to do for him. This is not my idea of prayer. Instead of bringing the Lord down to look after our little troubles, the scheme, as I take it, is to lift ourselves up into the atmosphere of the Lord with courage and faith, raise ourselves up far and away from the fear thoughts we have been thinking. Sincere and earnest prayer is a positive method of getting good suggestions into your thoughts, if your prayer is of the uplift kind. Prayer quiets your mind and keeps your thought on higher ideals. It fills you with noble impulses and gives you courage and strength. It will make your will stronger and your resistance to evil greater. Prayer brings help if you have faith. Nothing will brush away your troubles like real prayer. Remember that as sure as you live and breathe and have faith, your prayers will be answered if you pray right. Tonight, pray the best you know how. And tomorrow night, pray according to the instructions in the next chapter. End of chapters 31 through 35. Recording by J.A. Carter. www.pleonic.com. Chapters 36 through 40 of PEP, Poise, Efficiency, Peace, by Colonel William Crosby Hunter. Recording by J.A. Carter. Chapter 36. A glorious, golden, helpful chapter is this. It tells you a great way by which you may break the shackles of worry. It tells you of the splendid power and divine strength you get in prayer. Beyond human belief, perhaps, is the strength and help you will get from prayer, not only from the divine help, but from the courage and strength the helpful thoughts plant within you. Wonderful miracles may be performed in your own life by prayer, uttered in the right and faithful way that brings confidence and inspires and lifts you up. Proof? I told you early in this book you were going to learn truths, and that we would not stop for proofs of everything. But just this once I will prove a statement, or rather let you prove it to yourself, for then perhaps you will believe your own evidences better than the promises I make you. Well then, just to humor you, I am going to give you a suggestion so that you may prove to your own satisfaction the value of prayer. For 7 days, 3 times a day, morning, noon, and evening, go to a room, draw the curtain down, and in the middle of that room place a chair. Go to it, kneel down before it. Rest in quiet for 2 or 3 minutes with your eyes closed. Then, for 10 or 15 minutes, in a low voice but in a distinct tone, pray slowly to your God. Do not once utter fear thoughts or name your ailments or talk about your troubles. Pray for others. Repeat passages of the Bible like those I have told you about. Thank the Lord for the blessings you have. Count those blessings aloud. Health, strength, love, courage, happiness, ability to overcome, and so on, letting truth into your brain. Open your heart to him. Keep uppermost the helpful promises of the Lord. I will fear no evil. He will care for me. Do this for 7 days, with confidence that you will feel better, stronger, and happier, and these things will surely come to pass. Do not pray as if you were making an experiment or waiting to see how the experiment comes out. Pray with faith, and I promise you, dear one, that you will feel a sweet sereneness, a strong courage, perfect peace, and that faith will flourish and will banish worry and fear and bad thoughts. No matter what your religious faith may be, no matter what church you belong to, your God and mine are the same, and he reads your heart and mine. God is greater than sects or creeds or isms or fancies, and some day, when men have better understanding, all these creeds and church divisions will vanish, and there will be but one great, grand, universal religion, and it will be one of happiness and joy. It will not be a religion of fear and sorrow. It will not be a religion that causes you to chastise yourself. The great religion of the future is to be universal. Cheer, love, and happiness are to be the beads on the rosary, instead of ashes, sorrows, and tears. Prayer, then, will be your proof, and you are going to test it out for yourself, and then you will surely believe the things I tell you from now on. For if I have told you the truth in this, the greatest of all examples of how to get mental help, then indeed the lesser things you may readily believe without proof. How sweet the thought, how pleasant the anticipation of this great help that is yours! You are going to have faith, and you are going to be benefited, and happiness is going to be your portion. Tonight, then, continue this helpful, close communication with your Creator, who says to you, "I am with you always. Ask, and you shall receive. Seek, and ye shall find. I am thy God. I will walk with thee." The very practice of raising your thoughts up into the grander views of life will bring you a peace that passeth all understanding. These truths have been handed down through passing generations, and only a few have known them, even as you, who are now just entering into the understanding. On your pillow, thank God for the truths and assurances and promises he has given you, and resolve to do and act and to be an emancipated member of the faith family, who has found that worry is but a shadow, a thing unreal that cannot hurt you, because you have strength that comes from knowing that he is with you. This sublime suggestion and this chapter you should ever remember as the bright star of hope that shone clearly forth in your hour of darkness, and caused you by faith to raise yourself into the divine presence. Chapter 37. One of the great laws of nature is the law of cause and effect. Wherever you see a result, there is a corresponding cause that made that result. There is no such thing in nature as a blind chance. Everything that happens operates in accordance with a law. The law underlies everything. A moment's thought will convince you that there is not an effect without some cause. A great stone is dislodged and rolls down the mountainside, striking a tree which it uproots, and sends rolling down to a stream which it dams up. This causes a flood, which sweeps away a fertile field, and so on, effect after effect, but back of all there was a cause. It was not a blind chance. The stone was dislodged by the effect of causes that had been at work for centuries, disintegrating the stone, wearing away the foundation. There was no more chance in the dislodging of the stone than there was in the striking of a clock that had been wound up a day or a week before. Both are the natural result of the great law of cause and effect. Man can take hold of these laws and turn them to advantage. In the cause of this fallen stone, man could have prevented the stone from falling by building up a foundation to prevent its leaving its resting place, and all the damage of the flood would have been prevented. Man has risen from savagery to what he is today because he has studied cause and effect, and has learned to produce beneficial effects by using natural causes for his benefit. Oxygen needs hydrogen to accomplish its life's mission. The plant needs oxygen to accomplish its mission. The animal needs the plant to accomplish its mission, and haughty man needs willpower to accomplish his life's mission. Each draws to itself that which it needs in proportion to its uses of the law. Man has consciousness and thought and reasoning power, and has the desire to live his full life and accomplish his purpose. He must use his mental equipment in discovering and planning and availing himself of the natural forces of the great law of cause and effect, and he must learn to apply that law to his own benefit. All progress, whether physical, mental, moral, or spiritual, is based upon law, and he who wins success in any line does so because he has followed the law or laws pertaining to his business, his pleasures, and his thoughts, whether he does it consciously or unconsciously. Cause and effect show us that if you plant a certain seed, a certain fruit will come from it. This is a scientific truth. What you plant in your brain determines what you are going to get out of it, in a higher or more developed form. Consequently, you must keep putting in your brain good thoughts, courage, hope, faith, ambition, cheerfulness, kindness. If you keep planting your garden with these good things, good is bound to come from it. It is the great law of compensation again, in another form. But back of all these forms and all these suggestions I have given you is the one fundamental truth, no matter how it is expressed, and that is, as ye sow, that shall ye reap. Chapter 38. The great scientific authorities of the present time teach us that a man, by diligent care and practice, may absolutely and completely change his whole character, temperament, and habits. He may kill undesirable traits of character and replace them with new desirable qualities and faculties. He may eliminate worry and substitute happiness. Your mental attitude is the result of the current of your thoughts, ideas, and beliefs. You are constantly at work building up a mental attitude. It is not only making your character, but it is having its influence upon the outside world through your example. Every person you meet takes a mental inventory of you. If you go into another's presence with a lack of confidence in yourself, or a lack of confidence in the thing you have to sell, and an unbelief in the proposition you wish to place before him, he will get your spirit and will feel that you have no confidence in the things that you are trying to offer him. He will catch your mental atmosphere at once, and you will suffer thereby. But on the other hand, if you are filled with thoughts, feelings, and ideals of enthusiasm, success, and courage in yourself and in your proposition, you will fairly radiate success towards those you come in contact with, and they will unconsciously take stock in you and your goods, and the chances are they will be willing and glad to do business with you. You know there are many men who radiate failure and discouragement, and when such people come into your presence, you are affected by them. There are others who come to you with confidence and enthusiasm, and the moment they come into your presence, you at once catch their spirit and respond to it. I can say that there is an actual atmosphere surrounding men that is either of the uplifting or the depressing kind. If your mental attitude is right, it is a magnet that draws others to you. If you think success firmly and hold it always before you, it tends to build up a confidence which attracts others to you. Fix your mind upon anything, good or bad, in the world, and you attract it to you, or you are attracted to it. You attract to yourself the thing you expect, think about, and hold to in your mental attitude. This is not superstition, but a firmly established scientific fact. As the writer of old said, "As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he." Dust out the chambers of your mind and all those distressing thoughts like "I can't," "my poor luck," "poor me," "I'm sorry," and replace these thoughts with invigorating, forceful, compelling ideas of success. If you get an idea in your mind and let that take hold of you and stay with you morning, noon, and night, that idea gets fixed. If the idea is centered on your troubles, that fear thought gets to be a mania with you, and the longer you think it over, the more firmly fixed it becomes. Fear thought finally marks its imprint indelibly on your countenance and makes you a negative instead of a positive personality. Chapter 39. This chapter is to you who have acute worry phobia. It is you yourself who is to blame for the useless, helpless, unnecessary worry state you have been in. You have exaggerated yourself. You are a wee little mite, and entirely unimportant and unnecessary to the world's scheme. You have been living as though the responsibility of the world were on your shoulders. You have been bothering over details. When you get sick or go away for 2 or 3 weeks, you see how well the world moves along without you. You are simply an atom. You do not amount to anything so far as the rest of the world is concerned. But you are a big thing so far as you yourself are concerned. You have been worrying over problems beyond your control. You have been thinking that the coal supply was going to give out, or that the forests were to be depleted. You have been worrying because man is getting bald or coming to a toothless age. You have been worrying about floods or fires or earthquakes or other things that are beyond your power to prevent. You have worried over the fear of ill health or some particular disease. You are afraid, and you have been wondering if you are going to lose your mind. Well, dear one, here are a few truths for your comfort. Your grandfather worried over the fact that in future there would not be enough tallow to make candles, and behold, kerosene was discovered. Your father, perhaps, worried over the thought that when kerosene was exhausted, the world would be in darkness. Then gas was discovered, and now we have electric light. There is enough coal to last for centuries if we need it, but in 50 years we will hardly burn coal at all. We will heat from electricity, which we will get from water power, and we are even going to get our power, light, and heat direct from the sun itself. In other words, since the time of the caveman we have been able to meet conditions and take care of ourselves. We have evoluted from the barbarian to the civilized man. Necessity is the mother of invention, and the future will solve its own problems. Anyway, it's none of your business, so don't bother your head. You have thought, perhaps, that you would catch some disease, and at other times you have feared that you would lose your mind. Well, here is a comfort for you. One seldom gets the particular disease he has been expecting. Many high-strung persons have frequently felt so downright miserable, have worried and made their cases seem so hopeless they think they are losing their minds. To you, who are afraid of insanity, you may take comfort in knowing that nearly all insanity results from physical disease of the brain. Either it is a softening of the brain, or in the formation of blood clot or pressure of some sort. This condition is unknown to the patient in advance. Your egotism occasionally needs a good dose of mental salts to make you realize how little you are. The moment you realize this, then's the time to start to grow big. Get this chapter well in your mind, and it will help you wonderfully. Chapter 40. Once there was a king who called the wise men together and asked them how he could obtain happiness. He was told to travel through his domain disguised as a peasant until he found a contented man, and to trade with that contented man or buy from him his shirt. So the king set out on his way, and after a long journey finally found a man who was fully contented, and showed it. But lo, the man had no shirt. It is the seeking for material things and the desire for the unattainable that makes discontent. Our colored brothers down south are happy. They have few material things. They need few. But they use those few things they do have to the best advantage. They have good appetites, good health, and they are always smiling or joking. The more things a man has, the more he has to worry over. You must learn to be thankful for the things you have, and you must spend your time adding to your store of happiness by doing something for somebody and making the best of the things you have around you. The first rule of happiness is the doing of something for somebody. A word of cheer, a kindly act, interest in other folks, wise counsel, and above all, lending a helping hand with a smiling face. Get selfishness out of your system. Do not look for a direct reward for the good you do. Plant the seeds. The harvest will come out all right later on. Think of the great unselfishness of your mother. She has cared for you, watched over you, shared your joys and sorrows, your hopes, your troubles, and all without a single thought of her reward. You must not do kindness and look for profit from the act right away. Kindness should never preface a request. Women often do kind things for their husbands in order to get them in good humor, and when this is attained, they follow their advantage by asking a big favor. The reflex from such an act of kindness offsets the good that was done. Happiness comes from the very doing of good, and not from the hope of reward. Keep in good humor, for anger kills happiness. Do not quarrel. Remember that a soft answer turneth away wrath. Let the other fellow stew and fret and work himself into a fury, but you keep calm. It takes two to quarrel, and you must not be one of the two. Start tomorrow making it a point to say a pleasant word to every one you meet. To those who are ill or in trouble, whisper the word of sympathy first, then a word of courage and helpfulness. To those who need advice, give your kindly counsel. Make it a point with every one you meet to leave a helpful influence, whether it is a smile, a cheery word, a kindly hand clasp, or an act of kindness. The very mental resolve to do this will start happiness your way, and the act of kindness you do will bring the happiness. A selfish person can never be happy in the world. An unselfish person will always be happy. There is no happiness so complete or half so sweet as that which comes to you when you have done something worthwhile in helping someone by act, example, or inspiration. You are now getting along in this study to where I can ask you to be a pattern for others to follow. You are to be a model, and radiate to others happiness and good humour. This will attract others to you, and they will want to find out how you were changed from your old self into the new happy being, and that means they will follow the rules you have followed, and the general good in the world will be increased just so much. All of which will bring me great dividends from the suggestions I give you, and great dividends to you for passing the suggestions along. End of chapters 36 through 40. Recording by J.A. Carter, www.playodic.com. Chapters 41 through 45 of PEP, Poise, Efficiency, Peace, by Colonel William Crosby Hunter. Recording by J.A. Carter. Chapter 41. Here, then, you are as an example or an exponent of the model idea and of the power which comes from being in the right mental attitude and in understanding the way to do good in the world and the way to get happiness. Tomorrow evening, after supper is over, go into the kitchen and help wife or mother with the dishes, and help her to put the kiddies to bed. Do this 3 days, and you will have a big dividend of happiness, for you are doing something for somebody where it was unexpected. The smile on her face, the gleam in her eye, will whisper to you of love and appreciation, and your heart will beat in the sweet rhythm of melody, and the consciousness that you have helped her. If you are a parent, I want you to resolve for several days to be a playmate with your children, to reason with them and not to scold them. Show them the better way to do things. Tell them sweet stories with good morals, and you will have happiness, because you are doing something for somebody. At the table, take your time to eat. Do not bolt your food or sit in gloomy quietness. Be cheerful and show interest in the home circle. Eat slowly, be relaxed, and you will find happiness coming in through the cracks of the door. Husbands and wives, I want each of you to remember that you will have crossed wires and blue spells and worry. Make it a rule that you do not both have them at the same time. If one of you is in the dumps, let the other one sing, instead of joining in the cloudy atmosphere. Show each other love and attention, and you will find happiness knocking at the door of your heart. Indifference, neglect, lack of consideration are great causes of women's worry and sorrow. A kiss, the moving of a chair by the husband as the wife sits down, the placing of a pillow at her back, a stool for her feet, or a wrap on her shoulders. These little attentions are big dividend payers. They make you happy, they make her happy, and two are benefited thereby. How inexpensive it is to do these little things. Once in a while, instead of going out for the evening, make up your mind to stay in. Put on your slippers, sit close to the fire, and talk to that old sweetheart of yours, rehearsing your courting days, your honeymoon. Live again your sweet, joyous days of young love, and there will be a sweetness coming to you, and a peace surrounding you, and a contentment that passeth understanding and banishes worry and strife. Try it, brother. I am telling you the truth. It is a practical benefit. Young man, tonight, stay in with your mother. Talk to her of your younger days, and talk of her younger days. Get her started with reminiscences, and watch her eyes sparkle and her cheeks glow. And oh, what happiness this will bring you! Remember that mother of yours is the one person in the world whose kindness was never the preface to a request. She has done things for you, never hoping for a reward. Some day mother is to leave you, and what a wonderful happiness and satisfaction you will have in the thought that you loved her while she was here, and that you helped to make her life pleasant, and above all, you showed appreciation. There is no ache in a mother's heart so hard to bear as ingratitude. Mother can stand the headache and the backache, but oh, the heartache hurts her so much. You may have an enemy, or a friend with whom you have quarreled. Screw up your courage, go to that enemy with hand outstretched, and say, "Let us forgive, let us begin all over again as friends." With such an approach, he will forgive, and oh, what sweet peace you will have the minute you do this. Forget revenge. Revenge never in the world made a person happy. The very atmosphere around me as I write these lines is tinged with rosy cheer. The sun in the west is wreathed in golden glow. The noise of the street is sweet music, because my heart and brain and thoughts are filled with charity, forgiveness, kindness, and peace. And you will find this same sweet satisfaction if you do the things and follow the suggestions in this chapter. The mere writing of these thoughts to you makes me very happy, and bears out the suggestions that I have made so often, that the bringing in of good thoughts raises your ambition and courage and brings happiness to you. Courtesy, little attentions, consideration, sympathy, interest, and the expression of love to those around you are sure foes to worry. Resolve that to wife, to mother, to husband, to father, to daughter, to son, as the case may be, you are going to show attention and consideration, and you are going to open your heart to them. You are going to counsel with them. You will sympathize with them. You will love them. And they want to be told of your love. And you can tell them you love them, not only by word, but by looks and deeds. Chapter 42. These suggestions and thoughts flowing through my mind, expressing themselves in words, are to be printed and passed on to the great world to read. These very thoughts bring me sereneness and happiness that I cannot well express, and a like satisfaction will come to you as you pass the helpful influence along to those you love. Kindness brings happiness. There is nothing you can invest in that will bring greater dividends than kindness and cheery words. Lincoln wrote a whole sermon in 16 words. You can catch more flies with a drop of honey than with a gallon of vinegar. Kindness means gentleness. Therefore a gentleman should be a gentle man or a kind man. We have grown so accustomed to saying gentleman that we do not stop to think what the word really means. Lincoln was a gentleman in every sense of the word. He had a great heart, a cheery word, and a comforting way. Withal, he was most gentle and kind. What a beautiful lesson he gave the world in this sweet sentiment! When they lay me away, let it be said of me that as I travelled along life's road, I always endeavoured to pull up a thistle and plant a rose in its stead. That is a golden text for you. Worry is the thistle you are to pluck, and kindness is the fragrant rose you are to plant in its stead. Ages ago, a Greek philosopher said, "If there is any good deed I can do, or kindness I can show, let me do it now. Let me not defer or neglect it, for I cannot pass this way again." Centuries ago that was said. It was true then, and it is true now. Confucius, the Chinese philosopher, said, "Do not do any act to another that you would not like another to do to you." And later on Christ uttered the same thought in the more positive form, which we know as the Golden Rule. I want to give you a beautiful sentiment to remember. I don't know who wrote the words, and I cannot remember the words exactly as they were written, so I am giving it in my own language, remembering the sentiment and the idea, rather than the words themselves. Do not keep the alabaster box of your love and tenderness sealed up until your friends are dead. Fill their lives with sweetness. Speak approving, cheerful words while they are here to hear them, and the sweet things you mean to say when they are gone, say before they go. The flowers you mean to send for their coffins, send to brighten and cheer their hearts before they leave here. If my friends have alabaster boxes laid away, filled with sympathy and affection which they intend to lay over my dead body, I would rather that they would bring them now to my weary and troubled heart, and open them that I may be refreshed and cheered by them. I would rather have a plain coffin, without a flower, and a funeral without eulogy, than a life without love and sympathy. Let us learn to anoint our friends beforehand for their burial. Post-mortem kindness does not cheer the troubled spirit. Flowers on the coffin cast no fragrance backward over life's dreary way. What beautiful thoughts these are! Let us ever remember them. The hand clasp can show sympathy in times of trouble more eloquently than the floral piece. Think just a moment of the many chances to show kindness you have had and have overlooked. Remember how the loved one who is gone longed and waited and listened for words of appreciation and evidence of affection. How much better you would feel now if you could turn time backward and erase unkindness of the past. But the past cannot be helped. Today and the future only are yours. You must learn to profit by your neglect of the past, and to do better in the future. How many ways you could have shown kindness to your departed if you had your past to live over again! By your mistakes you are going to learn a lesson, and from now on you are going to say the kind word now. You are going to whisper love and gratitude to the waiting ears of those who should hear them. Take home a bouquet tomorrow night. Remember your life's partner each day with some evidence of your gratitude and appreciation and love. Chapter 43. I want you to make an investment. It is one that will pay big dividends, and pay them every day of your life. The most fascinating land booklet or mine prospectus never offered greater returns than this investment I want you to make. The best of all is that you need put no money in it, only time. I ask you to invest 15 minutes each day, and devote them to sizing up things and taking mental inventory of your progress today, and planning for the day's work tomorrow. Sizing up things can be well done only in solitude. Plants grow in darkness, yet the common understanding is that they grow in sunshine. The sunshine is absolutely necessary for the growth of the plant, but the real growth is done in the quiet of the darkness. The brain develops in solitude, yet hustle and bustle and business activity are as necessary to the brain as sunshine is to the plant. The real brain and moral growth takes place in solitude. Here again, we must remember the law of compensation. If a man had all hustle and bustle and no solitude, he would be like a machine without a governor. He would run so fast that something would have to give way. On the other hand, if a man is too much in solitude, a plant too much in darkness, they will wither and die. Man has always had a great admiration for the big individual, whether bird, beast, fish, plant, or human. There are two kinds of birds: the kind that live in flocks, like the blackbird and the wild duck, and the kind that lives by itself, like the eagle. Among birds, the eagle is chosen as an emblem for the flag, but never the duck or the blackbird. Among beasts there are two classes: the herd kind, like the sheep, and the strong individual, like the lion. The lion is the symbol of strength and courage, the sheep the symbol of innocence and simplicity. The lion appears on the coat of arms, but never the sheep. In the fish family there are two classes also: the kind that live in schools, like the mackerel, and the kind that lives by himself, like the whale. When first the savage drew a rude picture of a fish on his hut, it was a whale, not a mackerel. We never find the mackerel's picture printed except at the fish dealers and on the menu, and then only because the mackerel is good to eat. Among trees, the one that attains great proportions and beautiful symmetry is yonder giant oak or elm that grows in the open. It needs room to breathe and grow. It grows better if it is segregated from the crowded forest. The giant tree is not the one that grows in the dense woods. In the very first part of this book, I asked you to study these chapters the last thing in the day, when you were alone, and you can see now how helpful the suggestion has been to you. You realize how the help and truth are being absorbed in your mental garden, because the power of silence, the soliloquy in solitude, offers marvelous opportunities for mental culture, brain building, and fortifying yourself for the fray. When you get calm and have the poise and ability to think quietly of the beautiful things of life, you will have one of the greatest treasures possible to man. Mental pleasures are most enjoyed in solitude. Material pleasures are more enjoyed in the crowd. Material pleasures are temporary. Mental pleasures are lasting. The 15 minutes you invest in mental soliloquy will yield dividends as long as you live. And so in closing this chapter, I want to impress upon you the importance of investing 15 minutes each day in a quiet place by yourself, where you can size up the things you have done, the acts you have gone through, the thoughts you have had, the conclusions you have arrived at. This will be a threshing process by which you will eliminate the worthless chaff and get the good wheat. Chapter 44. I hope you followed the suggestion in the previous chapter of quietly sizing up the acts of the day, for then you will be in better position to understand and benefit by some more suggestions along the same line. I gave you some examples of strong individuality among plants, birds, beasts, and animals, and now we shall consider the supreme animal, man. There are two kinds of men: the kind that lives in the herd, and the kind that has the strong individuality and spends much time by himself. This strong individual needs room to grow. The herd man exists in infinitely greater number than the individual type of man. I cannot imagine Lincoln, Bismarck, Webster, Clay, Edison, or Burbank living in the herd or spending their time in brilliant cafes. The man who lives in the herd, who is ever present when the lights are bright, where gaiety abounds, where excitement reigns, where feasting is present, soon gets himself into the habit of cultivating this excitement so as to get away from himself, for his thoughts are fear thoughts. and he is never happy when alone with such thoughts. The brain never sleeps, and something must occupy it. The herd man fills his brain with frivolous things and seeks constant excitement. He is like the plant always in the sun. He burns himself out. The great man, with the individuality, is great because he has always spent plenty of time by himself, sizing up things in solitude, making a mental inventory of the things he has been doing. Sizing up things makes the brain grow and makes it stronger, and gives it the power of eliminating the things which harm the brain and make it weaker. The universities of this country, in a great measure, produce the herd man. The students dress alike, all have the same mannerisms, all have the same tilt to their hats, all the same turned-up trousers. They all feed at certain restaurants. They crowd in flocks, always. Very few college men learn the benefits of sizing up things in solitude until after years. Society conventions, too, develop the herd man. On the other hand, the philosophical student does not copy his fellow student. In the great practical experience schools we find Lincolns, Edisons, Jim Hills, and Carnegies. These men had to wrestle with the problems for themselves. They never lived in the crowd. They had to size up things in solitude instead of reading experiences from textbooks or following rules laid out by others. In your sizing up, weigh your positive and negative acts, your wise and foolish deeds, the right and the wrong impulse, the gain and loss in achievement. You should strike a balance, and if you see the bad, deterrent, backward things in the lead, you should resolve to get a move on yourself and change your habits. Those who go along without this sizing up of things in solitude are like the merchant who keeps no record but pays his bills from the cash drawer and takes what is left for profit. He will be running a little shop 20 years, while his competitor, who sizes things up each day, will be in the wholesale business or will have retired with a fortune. Try this sizing up of things for 2 weeks, and the benefit you will receive will be so manifest it will need no further suggestion to make you keep up the practice. While you're sizing things up, put the worries down in black and white and see how really foolish they look. Count your blessings. Realize your strength. Grow in these hours of sizing things up. Store your brain with faith thoughts. In the silent watches of the night, my suggestions will come to you through these pages, and if you have been as sincere in reading and following this great truth as I have been sincere and honest in desiring to help you, then you are feeling great benefits, and from now on, as the closing chapters are read by you, you will have a peace and a joy that the outside world does not know of. But you and I know them, and we understand, and we are happy thereby, for we are helping others. Chapter 45. False pride is one of the most frequent causes of worry. A man works hard to give his family comforts, and in the nature of things, as he goes along, his income improves. But the trouble is that in anticipation of the increase, either the man himself or his wife anticipates it, and the expense of living generally grows faster than the income. Few women have the ability to consider the family affairs with the breadwinner and gauge expense accordingly. Many a man has lost his ambition and his ability to earn a livelihood simply because he is pressed by debts until worry and discouragement materially handicap him. If women could realize the happiness that comes to the family that makes it a rule not only to live absolutely within the income, but at the same time save a little, much of the trouble of the world would be eliminated. Nearly every wife has been asked by her husband to curtail expenses. There is not 1 out of 100 who will take such a request with good grace. Usually, the one answer of a woman to her husband's request for scaling down expenses is, "Mrs. So-and-so dresses better than I do, and her husband doesn't make any more than you do." Or, "If Mrs. So-and-so can afford to have an automobile or to have this or that, I don't see why we cannot afford to have the same." Many a tragedy has occurred simply because the wife does not stop to reason. She buys things right and left on the theory that her husband has always managed to pay the bills and get through somehow, and as long as they get by, she does not bother about what the somehow has cost her husband. We can all obtain the things which are necessary and good for us. The great struggle is to obtain the things which not only are not necessary, but are positively harmful to us. It is the struggle for the useless things that makes so much trouble in the world. Fear thought is kept in ferment all the time by debt hopelessness, and pride is the yeast that generates the ferment. It is the desire to show off, to appear better than the neighbour, to excite envy among one's friends, that produces so much misery. Many a home has been wrecked by this false pride. And when the poor husband is faced by the stern necessity of selling the home, or moving into a house where the rent is cheaper, women look at the matter as hard luck. Few women can deal with these things philosophically. The ones who can are the busy, home-loving women. Most women in adversity have so much false pride they worry their husbands almost to death by constant rehearsal and ever-present thought of what they have had to give up since the retrenchment in living expenses has come. Many a man has been driven to distraction because after he has reduced his cost of living and has given up extravagances, his wife constantly reiterates or recounts the things they used to have and makes odious comparisons. When fortune or time or circumstance change a man's income so that he can no longer live up to the pace he has been going, there is nothing greater to his credit than the ability to face the situation and to change his scheme of living by moving into a smaller house in a new neighbourhood, and away from the associations and environment which have put him in the hole. And happy indeed is the man who has a wife who is a real partner and will do teamwork in this respect. False pride is one of the greatest worry-makers of the age. Many men are carrying the yoke around their necks, bowed down under heavy burdens of debt, in order to satisfy the pride of the wife, that she may be the peacock and put on airs over her neighbours. Many women will read this book. Every woman who reads these lines is either the kind who has been a handicap to her husband, or the kind who has been a help to him, a good partner. The latter will warmly applaud these sentiments, while the former will call them pessimistic, too severe a condemnation of womankind. Let us hope this chapter will arouse some women who are guilty of the very things alluded to, and by arousing them cause them to think, and if they think, good will come out of it, for consideration of plain truth cannot fail of its object, better living. Simple things, simple joys, simple habits, simple living, simple pleasures are the ones that are enjoyed best by true, sensible men and women. End of chapters 41 through 45. Recording by J.A. Carter, www.pleonic.com. Chapters 46 through 50 of PEP, Poise, Efficiency, Peace, by Colonel William Crosby Hunter. Recording by J.A. Carter. Chapter 46. Faith is not merely belief and acceptance of things told you. That kind of faith can generate fear. For if you believe all you hear, you will absorb much untruth. Faith means something deeper, more real. It is the contact that puts you in touch with the great forces of life and nature, and brings an inflow of power from the great supply source behind. Faith in yourself is of highest importance. It will influence others' opinion of you and attract people to you. People will measure you by what they see of you and what they hear you say. If you are weak, irresolute, and lack confidence, you surround yourself with an atmosphere of negative gloom and depressing influence. If you are strong, you radiate attractiveness, magnetism, confidence, and faith of others in you. That faith in yourself not only impresses others and influences them, but positively strengthens your own mental equipment and moral powers. With such faith, you have confidence in your ability and in the plans that make success come to you. Confidence is the basis of trade. The man with the I can, I will, I do make-up gets there, and his magnetic faith is his great advertisement. You must have faith in the world generally, but not so much faith in others that you carry it to the point of making you gullible. You should be alert mentally, and you will be enabled to differentiate in measuring others. Be generous, however, in the goodwill, confidence, and belief in others. Trust your fellow man in small things without much suspicion. The general average is good. Every successful man has faith. He has a deep-rooted belief in something outside that helps him. He calls it his luck, fortune, guiding star, or destiny. He has an intuitive belief in a certain something that helps him and causes him to get over hard places. This something is really his self-poise and mental dominance. I know men who can give no explanation of the means by which they expect to get by their present troubles or difficulties, yet they have sure faith that they will get by. The man who says, "I don't know just how, but I will get through it somehow," is the one who does. Something pulls him through. It is his faith, and the very words "I will" in the expression of faith. You ride in a train, in a street car, or travel by ship. You read, eat, sleep, and have faith in the hand that guides the engine or motor. You show faith at every turn of the road in life. All faith rests on a great underlying law. That law enables you to establish faith in yourself, and that is the faith that concerns you most. With faith in yourself you are invincible. You can conquer fear and all the holdbacks in life, and secure the spur of confidence and poise that makes you go and makes your plans go. Chapter 47. The cuckoo lays eggs in a sparrow's nest. The sparrow hatches the cuckoos, which crowd out the rightful occupants. Fear thought, implanted in the brain, will destroy and crowd out many faith thoughts. Fear is the parent of bashfulness, timidity, depression, irresolution, worry, and all the rest of the brood of negative, hurtful feelings and emotions. Fear and its progeny paralyzes mental effort and good work. It prevents the working out of well-thought plans and destroys power to make fine analysis. Fear withers the fine building chances of men and women, and makes weak, negative individuals instead of strong, reliant conquerors and doers of things. Fear destroys the cheerful and powerful "I will" harmony, and makes one sick bodily and stupid mentally. It eliminates the energy the average person has, and positively prevents worthwhile accomplishment. You can't go fast on the road of content if the shackles of fear hold your feet and block your way. It is not the trouble of today that unnerves you or brings you down. It is the fear and worry about troubles that you expect in the future, and those troubles never come to pass at all. You can care for the troubles of today, but when you put the big burden of tomorrow's troubles on top of today's troubles, you are doing your mind and your body a great injustice. The energy you spend in threshing out the maybe troubles of tomorrow is sufficient to conquer more than the troubles of today. Nature has equipped you with a reserve supply of energy for the unexpected emergency troubles of today, but she does not calculate to have you draw on that reserve for future troubles which will not come. She is insulted by such demands, and resents such presumption on her liberality. You must learn how to kill the fear of vampire. All that is necessary is this: put willpower in command, and substitute faith for fear. That's the thing in a nutshell. It requires patience daily and hourly, with great alertness and strength. That's why I repeat the suggestion so often, to keep the thought alive. The constant impulse will impress you. When you eradicate fear, your mental attitude of faith will work wonders for you, and you will radiate hope, confidence, and ability, and impress these positive forces upon the people you meet. Trying to drive fear away by ordering it out is like trying to shovel out darkness from a room. You simply cannot do it. Open the windows, let in the light, and the darkness vanishes. Light and darkness cannot both stay in the room at the same time. It's the law I speak of so often, that no two objects can occupy the same space at the same time. Let the sunshine of faith in at your mental windows, and fear is absolutely dissipated. Chapter 48. Your willpower is a strange, subtle, intangible thing. It is your ego, and the trigger that fires the will is the I. I can, I will, I am. Your will, whether it is weak or strong, is the keynote of your mental balance sheet and a synopsis of your life story. The strong will is nature's delight. It is nature's plan, and she rejoices when her plans work out and overcome artificial hindrances. Your will is a living force. It is electricity, power, energy. It is as positive in its working and as true to the great law in its workings as gravity. Nothing to you is impossible if you will do a thing and will until you make this thing happen. I hope you are using your willpower aright. Do not confuse stubbornness with strongness in relation to willpower. A mule is stubborn, but he has no willpower, just a negative hindrance. Stubbornness comes from prejudice, ignorance, or misdirected energy. The man with a strong will knows how to yield, when yielding means stepping aside to get a better view or a stronger foothold. The stubborn man will not bend or stoop, and his stiff attitude will break him. A willow bends when a storm is on, and it bobs up serenely and keeps growing after the trouble is past. The man with will is like the willow. The ship has to turn out of its course to avoid rocks and icebergs. The big man doesn't push ahead right into trouble. He weaves, winds, stoops, climbs over, around and under, and he gets by. Your one road to your objective of peace, efficiency and poise is willpower. A strong, asserted willpower that brands good impressions on others, that is suggestion. When that willpower brands impressions on your own brain, that is autosuggestion. When good thought suggestion is driven in by strong willpower, it becomes automatic and habitual, and there is an end of all your troubles, worries and fears. The way to develop the willpower to activity and responsiveness is by constant, concentrated attention to helpful suggestions, to others and to yourself, until these suggestions become automatic autosuggestions. And that's where I hope to be of service to you in this book. I keep hammering away at the suggestion of faith, courage, hope. I pound away at that willpower of yours. I strive to awake your latent powers of activity. I hold up promises of great rewards. I lead by sentimental touch. I reason with logic. I try to convince with common sense. And two, by examples and illustrations, to teach, win, coax, or intoxicate you, to get into line and join the chorus and repeat the short litany of the great universal church, which is, I can, I will, I am, I do. Verily this is truth I am telling you, and I want you to take these pages as personal counsel with you. You can have pep, and the way is through that willpower of yours. Get busy with it. The clock seems to be ticking faster than it used to, and old Tempest is fugiting to beat the band. Your call is marked down on the slate, and I am the merry bell boy rapping at your mental door, telling you it is time to wake up. Rouse up and go to it, and let me put the hallmark of genuine purpose on your brow so the world can see it. The hallmark is, I will by my will. Chapter 49. Pick out 12 drinking men you knew 12 years ago. Go over the list and see what's happened to them. Pick out 12 of the successful men you know today. Go over the list and see how many of them are boozers. 25 years ago, the man who said, I don't drink, was subject to sneers. Today, the man who says, I don't drink, comes in for cheers. If the stomach is filled with booze and the lungs with cigarette smoke, you cannot expect to build a good brain. The boozer has no more chance to win success in the game of life than a tallow-legged dog has to catch an asbestos rabbit in the place of fire and brimstone. You cannot get away from the fact that the worst of the real troubles in this world, the broken hearts, the deserted homes, the pinched children, the fallen women, the failures in business, are caused by drinking. The man who gets to the top is the booster, not the boozer. How about the absconders, the murderers, the human derelicts that have come to your attention? What was the cause of all these troubles? Answer: booze. Go to the poorhouse, talk to the old codgers there, shake things up and find out why these people have no homes. Answer: booze. How about the broken-hearted, suffering wife and the poor innocent kiddies whose little hearts are torn when the other kids point out their father's failing? Booze. The drunkard may think he is all right because he's taking care of the wife and the kiddies, but what the wife and the kiddies want is a real dad and not a booze-soaked dad. If drinking is getting a stronger hold on you, we wonder if you ever stop to realize that your wife and little ones watch your homecoming to see whether you are drunk or sober. How about those faces at the window, watching to see you come up the steps to find whether it is daddy or a boozer? Maybe you have not come to this stage. I hope not. But if you are just occasionally going to extremes, it is time for you to sit up and listen, for there is no standstill in the drinking game. You either have to get the best of it, or it will get the best of you. We have heard about the man who says, I can take a drink when I feel like it. I know when I have enough and when to let it alone. Every drunkard and old soak has said those words 1,000 times, and it is a lie, and he knows it. We have no time to talk about the lambasting that drink gives the stomach, or to prove that your wonderful body cannot be soaked in alcohol and allow you to keep in good health at the same time. You cannot play the drink game and the think game at the same time. Drink puts think on the blink. When your brain is steeped in alcohol, it is a mere mass of putty. I cannot promise that every non-drinker will get to the top, but I can promise that no one will go to the top if he doesn't keep sober. Time flies, and the drinker finds he hasn't anything saved up for a rainy day. And gee willikins, how it does rain when it gets started. A drinking man in his old age pities himself, then curses himself, then grows jealous and pessimistic. This is followed by grouch, worry, fear, and the poor old boozer is down and out. We have used some pretty strong language in this chapter, but the strong words are needed. If you get a poison bite on your hand, perfumed oils will not cure it. It needs a caustic. You can lead a horse to water, but you cannot make him drink. I can tell you about the curse of drink, but it's up to you to quit. I challenge any man to advance a logical argument in favor of drinking. Note I say drinking. I do not refer to taking whiskey as a medicine, although the doctors tell me even that isn't necessary. I can tabulate the crimes and the misery of the world and show that the cause in the great majority of cases is whiskey. There is no one thing in the United States doing more harm than whiskey, and you know it. That is cold truth. The nation is aroused, and it will not be very long until Congress will prohibit the manufacture of liquor for use as a beverage, and that condition will be brought about by businessmen who know liquor prevents efficiency, increases taxes, makes more jails, hospitals, and poorhouses. The change will be brought about by economic reasons, and that's why I am sure national prohibition is bound to come. Chapter 50. There are no beaten paths to the door of fortune. Every path, every road, comes from a different direction. You must make your own road. Fight your way through the brambles and underbrush. You must have purpose, for energy without purpose is waste of effort. Direct your mind toward your ideal. Do not be discouraged at seeming obstacles. In the morning, say to yourself, I will not be disturbed by the busybody, the ungrateful, the liar, the deceitful, the envious, the tale-bearer. They are poor souls who do not know how to control their minds, and I cannot be injured by any one of them. In the morning, when you feel like remaining in bed, get this thought: I am rising to do the work for which I exist, and I am happy in the thought that I have work to do, and I am going to do it. Do not bother whether the day is hot or cold. Say to yourself, I do my duty, and weather or troubles or things without reason shall not stop me. Do not talk about what you could do or could be, but do it and be it. Work at that which is before you and is expected of you, and do it seriously, vigorously, calmly, without allowing things to distract you. Do your duty, and do it without grumbling, and you will be happy, and there is no man that can take this happiness from you, or rob you of your right to enjoy it. End of chapters 46 through 50. Recording by J.A. Carter, www.pleonic.com. Chapters 51 through 55 of PEP, Poise, Efficiency, Peace, by Colonel William Crosby Hunter. Recording by J.A. Carter. Chapter 51. Honesty is the best policy, and the rule is as true today as ever. It needs no proof. It is established and recognized. The man who marks his cards in the game of life to cheat his fellow man is just as sure to meet failure as the sun is sure to shine tomorrow. You are always hearing about or seeing a Mr. So-and-so who has made lots of money, and you know he is dishonest, but so-and-so has not paid all he owes. Yet he has paid much for his money. He is paid in the lack of respect you and everyone show him. Prison bars are not always the punishment for dishonesty. Mental punishment, self-accusation, and the consciousness of guilt, all these are much greater than we will ever know. Mr. So-and-so you speak of would give every dollar he possesses to change places with a happy, honest man who hasn't a dollar in the world. Dishonesty brings worry and suffering far worse to bear than prison bars. Be square with others, but particularly be square with yourself. Keep your eyes off the outside of the man who makes money dishonestly, but look into his inside, his conscience, and you will not envy him a bit. No matter how poor you may be, if you are honest, you will be richer than the dishonest man of wealth. Riches of golden dollars are not the measures of happiness. Riches of joy and practicing the golden rule are the real riches we are seeking. No man who observes the golden rule will be dishonest. And I believe in the golden rule, and you believe in it too, do you not? So we are adding to our riches of happiness every day, aren't we? And our hearts sing for joy, for our old worries and envies are getting mighty dim as we travel this main road of helpful thought and follow the suggestion of helping others and establishing within us the thought, I will do right. To skin others is to cheat yourself and rob you of the possibility of enjoying your existence. The smooth man has a rough road to travel. Chapter 52. There's the hypocrite. Do not let him come near you. He has the glad hand and a very bright face. He smiles and he does many of the things we are telling you to do. But he's only an actor, a counterfeit. He tries to be everybody's friend, but in the wind-up he is recognized as unworthy, unbelievable, and is shunned by all. He covers up his real desires and plans his speech and actions just to suit your wishes. He is insincere, untrustworthy. He is afraid of making enemies. He is a weakling and a coward. He is a thief, a liar. He is dishonest, and his friendship vanishes instantly when you are in trouble or in need of a friend. The hypocrite flatters you. His advice is worthless. He talks from his neck up, never from his heart. His only aim in life is his own, and he fails because he is insincere and his foundation is rotten. He is a dangerous person, because those with weak minds or run-down will-powers have not the ability to see through his outer self, and they think he is real, and that his make-believe is true. Those who have faith in him fall or suffer, for they are leaning against a wall of straw. The hypocrite is strong in his proffered friendship when you are prosperous and when you don't need his help. But the moment you call on him for aid, or ask anything that calls for sacrifice on his part, he finds ready excuses and thenceforth keeps clear of you. These smiling, obliging, agreeable hypocrites are positively hurtful to you. You want people to disagree with you sometimes. You want someone to fight and contend with you once in a while. That contact discloses your weak spots and lets you know where you stand. The hypocrite hands you out pretty boxes of word candy and fools you with the sweets. Better have someone give you a pickle once in a while. Sincerity seldom flatters. Blunt truth may hurt for an instant, but when you come to again, the reflex is enjoyable. Anyway, when you hear blunt truths, you know what you are dealing with. When you hear the honey words from a hypocrite, you are trying to fasten truth on soap bubbles. You simply make no progress and get no satisfaction. Chapter 53. To be approved, you must occasionally be reproved. Knowledge pointed out to you is mere words unless the knowledge is used. Set your ideal on the rock of truth, and do not be bothered by the waves that dash against it. You will at first be sneered at because you have ideals and live differently from the herd. But when your determination is realized by your friends, you will be cheered for your pluck. Success comes to you who willingly, successfully, and patiently stand by your standards. You may be misjudged and sneered at and criticized. Well, so was Columbus and Christ and all others who had great ideals. Langley said the time would come before long when men would fly in the air, and the people called Langley crazy and a fool. But the fools were those who called Langley the fool, for behold, men do fly in the air. Old ideas founded on the you can't theory are every day being upset by stern, patient, courageous men bobbing up and doing the very things the wise ones declared impossible. You have said, I can't stop worrying. The answer is, you can. Do not look backward toward your regrets or sorrows. Look forward to hope and happiness, and enjoy the anticipation of the pleasures in store for you. Yesterday had many pains. Why turn to the fire that burned you? Doing so only makes the pain worse. Control yourself. Find diversions and work harder than ever before. Your regrets are like wounds. They must be closed before they can be healed. The scar marks experience. For centuries and ages, countless thousands have undergone all and more than you have suffered. They have met every reverse you have. They have lost every prize you have lost. And they have forced themselves to find courage just as you are finding your courage, and learning to emancipate yourself from worry shackles by eliminating all acts or thoughts that are born of fear or cowardice. You have the power to do this. The trouble was that it has been tucked away in some corner and almost forgotten. You have the strength, but you must dig it up and exercise it. Grapple with your will and shut your mental doors on yesterday. Realize that it is today, and that today is all you can live or control. Fix your mind, center your thoughts on true ideals, and have a single purpose. Do not count on luck or accident to favor you. Chapter 54. Remember, the patient, persistent plodder, rather than the born genius, is the one who does the things. Ask any so-called genius the secret of his success, and he will tell you it was hard work and patience. Get the take-it-easy idea out of your head. If you try to make life too easy, you will soon find the road is too hard to travel. Ambition, great ideals, right hopes call for effort, exercise, and efficiency. And while these words all commence with ease, yet the words mean just the opposite of the word ease. You can cut butter rather easily, but it is the cutter of wood and the hewer of stone that develops strength. Practice makes perfect, and just as true as you live, old compensation always puts the cap of success on those who have made the good fight. Mere knowing what to do is not the thing that brings results. It is the doing. The nail will not go into the board until the hammer gets busy. You cannot buy genuine things with counterfeit attempts. You may get what you wish, but you must pay for it. To get the best, you must give the best. Half journeys do not bring you to the end of the trip, and it is the last step of the journey that is most necessary. You will not arrive unless you survive. You will not thrive unless you are alive. The road to success goes in the opposite direction to the road to ease. Your path to success has brambles and boulders on the way, but they are there to test your endurance and patience. All this means effort, energy, and endurance. That's the ease you need to bring happiness, not the ease of non-resistance and freedom from work. The woman who leads a life of ease is full of worry and hopelessly enslaved to trouble and discontent, and she never knows what happiness is. A life of ease prevents happiness. A life of ease, effort, energy, endurance, will buy happiness. So gird up your loins, stiffen your backbone, set your jawbone, forget your wishbone, and hit the big road that leads to success, remembering that the toll you pay is work. A life of ease, that's the ambition of the weak ones. You have more knowing, and knowing more keeps you going more on the right road. A life of work for us, where we are free and emancipated from the little jail of worry, where we were formerly captives. A life of ease for those who will not learn the truth. But for us, a life of ease, effort, energy, and efficiency. Chapter 55. To every dispute there are not only two sides, but four sides: the inside, the outside, the right side, and the wrong side. It's mighty hard to be sure you are on the right side and able to pass judgment. Gossips get the wrong side. Mind your own business. If your business doesn't call for all your time, you have gone in the wrong business. Disputes quickly follow criticism. Critics seldom do the things they advise others to do. The critic is a busybody, and a busybody is never a busy body. Gossips are more poisonous with their bites than dog bites. Few are killed by dog bites, but slanderers and gossips have made many untimely deaths. The man who shoots off his mouth and causes broken homes, unhappiness, and misery should be punished like the man who shoots off the gun that he did not know was loaded. The Japanese have a proverb which they teach their children as soon as they can lisp the words. It is this: see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. There is a great demon who prowls around. He is called Gossip. He is a mischief maker and an artful dodger, hard to locate, and he is a liar of the worst kind. Pay no attention to gossip, for it is villainy born of hatred. Gossip consorts with meanness. Gossip never had a pure motive. If you speak evil of a woman, picture your mother or sister in her place. If you think a man is a thief, tell the police. If the facts you have are not strong enough to justify a warrant, they will not justify your accusations. Gossip always attacks the absent one. It is therefore cowardly. More trouble has been caused by gossip than by any other one thing, except whiskey, and whiskey makes gossip. A big step forward to emancipation or freedom from worry will be the moment you cut out gossip from your habits. The next time you start to speak ill of anyone, curb your tongue, and you will instantly feel the benefit, for you are learning to control your will. Whenever there is gossip, turn the conversation. You will not gossip or speak ill of anyone, will you? You will feel better as soon as you deposit this thought in your mental bank of good ideas. Gossip is cowardly. You must be brave. End of chapters 51 through 55. Recording by J.A. Carter. www.pleonic.com. Chapters 56 through 60 of PEP, Poise, Efficiency, Peace, by Colonel William Crosby Hunter. Recording by J.A. Carter. Chapter 56. He who listlessly drifts with the tide, yielding to every appetite or passion, will soon dash a broken wreck on the sullen rocks that lurk unseen in the river of life. Happy are you who are so constituted that with a steady eye on the compass of truth, a strong hand on the tiller of right, reinforced by determined will, you guide your craft past hidden dangers and worries and storms of imaginary fears, and finally enter safely in some quiet harbour in a position to enjoy with your loved ones the fruits of your life's hard, patient, honest toil. And when the supreme moment arrives, you can calmly, fearlessly go to your eternal rest, content in the thought that the world is better because you have lived, and that you leave to posterity an unsullied name, a noble example, a loved memory, a helpful influence. You want to be lovable and loved. Therefore you must not spread scandal. When you do a wrong, you will hasten to right that wrong. And if apology is necessary, you will show yourself to be big by manfully asking pardon and expressing sorrow for your act. You will not intrude or force your religion or politics or peculiar beliefs on others, but will accord them their undoubted right to have their own honest opinion. You will do your charity without fuss or ceremony, and dress it with cheerful words and smiles. You will not boast of your good deeds, but rather seek to cover them. You will be grateful to your inferiors, respectful to your superiors, and natural with your equals. You will quit telling your troubles. People do not want to hear them, and your telling simply makes you suffer more and bores them. You will not take advantage of or trade upon the influence of your friends. You will not sell your honour for business or profit. You will not ask anyone to do anything you would be ashamed to do yourself. There will be countless things you will not do for money, because you are beginning to understand how little money means, and how few of the good things money can buy. When scandal comes in your circle, you are going to change the subject. When others knock, you will boost. Delicately and suggestively, you can change the tide of conversation toward uplifting topics. When conversation turns to discouragement, to hopelessness of things or conditions, then you will change the conversation toward things of hope and cheer and courage. Do not water the weeds of sorrow, hard luck, or discouragement. You are emancipated. You can eliminate knocks, and you are going to do it by substituting boosts. Speak well of all, or not at all. Chapter 57. You are shaking off the shackles of fear, cowardice, and worry. The cotton is being pulled from your ears, and you can hear the knocking of opportunity at your door. Every hour brings up new combinations, and you can hear the call, and you are beholding promise everywhere. Every day the man who says that a thing cannot be done is pushed aside by some other man who does it. All around you are opportunities. Shake yourself and do things. Keep fishing instead of wishing for things. When you see a black cloud, get on the other side of it, and you will find the other side is bright. You must not be hazy or lazy, neither must you be a dasher and a splasher. Spend your power in making your ideals come true, and do not waste any of your power in making a lot of useless fuss and muss over things. Fix your ideals. Set your will. Avoid lost motion or wasted effort. Work for a purpose. Remember that success comes by inches and not by leaps or bounds. The man who leaps into fame overnight by luck is not as safe as the man who creeps into fame by pluck. Are you not glad your eyes are being opened? Do you not feel hope rising in your breast, where worry once was sitting on a nest of despair, trying to hatch out misery? You have a great chance, and you will be successful in your object, if your object is right. Set your compass, gird up your loins, whip up your willpower, and go forward. You must make a careful inventory of your equipment to find your capacity to do things, but you must not let your egotism be used as a measure of your capacity. You cannot expect to begin where others are content to finish. The oak is fine to look at, but you know it was an acorn, then a tiny tender shoot, and it took many years for it to be an oak. You must get your roots planted and started in solid ground and in proper time. The growing up and branching come later. Real strength requires little assistance and few favours. Strength is developed by storms and difficulties. You must learn to weather the weather. What a poor world this would be if all the people could be strong and great without working. You must face the music. You must start to sow in order to grow. If life were too easy for you, then you would make it too hard for everyone else. The law of compensation is rigid. It does not give out prize packages to those who yearn for lucky numbers, but to those who earn plucky numbers. If you work hard and are patient, if you bob up after you are knocked down, if you keep a stiff upper lip, if you say, "I will," instead of "I can't," then compensation is watching you over the tops of his glasses as he works at his big ledger of good deeds. Everything you do that is worth while he credits to you in the book. So you must be too busy to spend your time looking over the account. Compensation will keep the books all right. Some day you will get a dividend from your patient efforts, which may be more than in dollars and cents. The dividend will be a great surprise to you. Find your gait. Inventory your ability. Do the thing you can do best. Do what you are paid to do, and then some. It is the then some that boosts salaries and promotes men and women. Busy bodies and busy minds bring happiness and kill worry. Busy bodies and lazy minds are beautiful wallow holes for worry. There's plenty of room on top. Clear up to the sky is space and room to grow. The moment you make up your mind to be free from fear, worry, envy, hate, malice, jealousy, nothing can stop your climbing up to a high plane of life where your vision will be clearer. Get your fighting blood up. Awaken your spirit. Begin to drive things. Do not wait for the bandwagon to come by and hop on, but get out into the road and climb up the obstacle hill. Roll the stones aside. Climb over the dead timber. Wade the forbidding streams. Go straight up. When your purpose is honest, you will succeed. Do your very best, and you cannot be downed. Since the world began, success has never been handed out to men, but it has been earned by perseverance, work, energy, patience, and singleness of purpose. Rise up. You have been dozing and dreaming too long. Feel your pulse beats measure time to your footsteps. You go to exercise and work. The tree must be outdoors to season well. So must you. The jumping horse never would learn to jump unless he was forced over the fences. You must learn to jump over obstacles, so do not get tired. You will soon develop more strength, and the practice is making you perfect. When you rowed a boat the first time, your hands blistered, but you kept at it until the blisters grew to calluses and protected your hands from further blisters. Keep on. That's it. It isn't the size of a man's legs that determine whether he wins the race. It is the amount of his grit, and it is the last steps he takes that count. I will. That is your cue. Do not look back. The past is dead. Today is your time to start, and the test of your grit is your determination and patience. You are going to win. Go forward. Chapter 58. And now comes my personal regret, which is that I have so many more things I want to say to you, which I must leave unsaid because the die for the size of this book is cast, and I must finish and give you in terse sentences ideas that I have outlined as text to write chapters on. The printer awaits, and I must call a halt. You have travelled along with me, and I hope you will read these boiled-down truths and enjoy them. Pointed truths. Today is the tomorrow you worried about yesterday, and see, that hurtful thing did not happen. Love me and tell me so is the craving of every wife's heart. It takes a hammer of practice to drive the nail of success. Lucky stones are found in plucky paths. The more one goes the round of pleasure, the more difficult it is to get square. Many a white vest has only an empty pocket-book and an unpaid laundry bill in it. Dyed whiskers and painted cheeks never fooled anyone, yet those who dye their hair and paint their cheeks think they are fooling others. You can get nearer a woman's heart at the tub than at the club. It is the roughness of the grindstone and the rough places in life's road that give the axe and the man the sharp edge. If we are careful where we step, those who follow us will not stumble so often. Cultivate and develop an iron will, but do not use pig iron, neither let the iron rust from disuse. Men and fish get into trouble because they do not keep their mouths shut. Killed by kindness never appeared on a tombstone. One of the greatest gifts in the world is the ability to say no. A good memory is good, and a good forgettery is very good. Men and pins who lose their heads are useless. You have 10 good and true friends who will always help you, your 10 fingers. You cannot make poor health and good business keep up good teamwork. You can never get much happiness from money or possessions you did not work for. If you get real angry, look in a mirror for 2 minutes. Every man inherits one of these birthrights: brains, boodle, birth. And the greatest of the three is brains. Chapter 59. Go to the hospital and see how weak people brave real troubles, and maybe you will see how cowardly it is for you to give in to an imaginary trouble. The big man of the city is the one who was raised near the grass roots of the country. Know each other here on earth during the week, and let the others sing on Sunday, "We shall know each other there." The has-been wears shiny clothes instead of shiny shoes. Look in the old pink plush album and see Mother's picture when she was a bride. Then think. Nearly every rich man was a poor boy. The rich boy is handicapped, and not 1 in 1,000 gets there. You may lead a fool to the trough of knowledge, but you cannot make him drink. It is not what is on a man, but what is in him. Cook your husband's meals carefully, and you will not have to worry over his morals. If wishes could all be true, what a mess this world would be. A fast horse can't go fast far. Nothing will kill lies like absolute silence. Apology takes a big, broad man. The coward doesn't apologize. Do not tie grass on the path your brother travels. When your plans go wrong, it's because you have too much wish and not enough you in them. The door on a business office says push. The door on City Hall says pull. Throw rocks and the world will throw rocks at you. There are just 2 classes in the world: the one that says I can, and the one that says I cannot. You must learn to stand alone. Props can only help temporarily. You must act fairly. Trickery will not bring permanent success. You cannot buy your way with money to real homes, real hearts, or real friends. The lock that opens to the key of gold lets you into the room of insincerity, make-believe, and false ideals. Do not hope for progress, but hop for it. Make up your mind that you want uplifting thoughts, good ideas, noble ideals. Know what you want it hard, and you will get it. You cannot be kept down unless you are downhearted. Easy problems are not worth notice. The big prizes are only given to those who win by great effort, persistent energy, and determined patience. Do not lose faith in yourself. When you feel run down and played out, it is your mainspring, not you. Take a little rest, get lots of sleep, rewind the mainspring, and keep the works oiled by cheer. Read a chapter of this book. Your future is in your hands. You must analyze problems, decide things for yourself, and act alone. Do not ask advice of others. It weakens your own powers and makes you uncertain in your actions. People will advise you the way you want to be advised. Advice from others is no help. Strong men go it alone. Pep will give you the ability to go it alone. It is you who must solve your problems. Keep this ever in your mind. The world is busy. Everyone is occupied with his own affairs. Others will shun you if you go to them with hard-luck tales or seek them for advice. Be your own counselor, adviser, and director. Keep close to this book. Every page has a help, a weapon, a power, but you must do the wielding. Every truth in this book comes from experience, and every suggestion is based upon truth. Chapter 60. And now we come to the parting of the ways. The writing of these pages has been a great pleasure to me. I have felt all along that this message was personal, and in closing, I feel myself floundering around for something that will express the personality and make the parting temporary only. I want to be with you again. Reread this book. Absorb a chapter or so every few days. Keep the book ever near you like a friend. Keep alive the suggestions and sustain the good thoughts. Keep your mental equipment in fine trim. As long as your willpower dominates, and as long as your mental attitude is serene, you are a power and a success. You who had pep and lost it, I hope you have regained it, and I'm sure you have, if you have read this book slowly and kept sustained interest and focused thought on the subjects. Fixed thought inevitably molds a man and makes him a creature of his thought picture. If your fixed thought is on faith, you are invincible and will stand fearless, unconquered, and powerful before the world. If your fixed thought is on fear, you will stand cowed, fearful, hopeless, and miserable before the world. Stand foursquare before the world, a pyramid of potential strength. Be superior to the changing winds and clouds and storms that pass. You have a duty to yourself first of all, and a duty to your loved ones and to the world. There is no nobler aim or higher accomplishment than to do your duty well. Vibrate your superb faith, inoculate your courage, instill good thought, make helpful suggestions, do good deeds, act gently, deal kindly, be a living, breathing model of God's most wonderful masterpiece, man. You are invincible. You can and will rise each day into higher and broader altitudes of thought and vision. You can and will add to your strength and power. Glorious, satisfying, intoxicating, pulsating life is your portion and your right and your unquestioned heritage. You have been in a fog. The sun was shining above it all. You have risen through the fog and now bask in the sunshine. You were wandering in the underbrush and jungle, following blind trails made by those who knew not the direction that would lead to the great highway, so well defined that those who follow it cannot be lost. The briars scratched, the stones bruised, the mud often swamped your footsteps, the jungle tangled, but you pushed on, following the suggestion of the guide, and now the open road lies before you. Keep in the big road. Let your face be to the light. Tune your heart to harmonize with the joyous song of life. Unbounded confidence and courage will develop, and all the horde of fear thought will skulk behind the bushes and briar patches as you pass triumphantly by. Below, in the valleys, are the snakes, scorpions, poison ivy, and stinging insects that lie in wait for those whose brains are filled with fear. Above are the velvet-throated songbirds that fill the air with gladsome notes and cheery music, as you go along the great road with your staff of confidence as your strength, with your head up and your ears open. By day, the golden sun of courage, by night your bright star of duty light your pathway. The way is clear to poise, efficiency, peace, pep. The pleasant zephyrs of kindness, love, and sympathy play on your face. The world glories in you and is the better for having seen you. Keep on your way. Look up, not down. If I have, by suggestion, logic, humor, or example, helped you to get your thought habit fixed on faith, courage, and confidence, if I have awakened you to realize your own power within you, if I have guided you on the great open road to happiness, then the writing of Pep has been well worth while. And so, from my heart to yours, here is our parting. Mitzpah, love, Rosemary. End of chapters 56 through 60. Recording by J.A. Carter. www.pleonic.com. End of Pep, Poise, Efficiency, Peace by Colonel William Crosby Hunter.